YouTube Twitch now. Oh my god, dude. Oh, okay, we're chilling. We're chilling. I think we're live. Yo, when's Prince Sam's event? Is it in an hour or is it now? Okay, I think it's in a bit. Yo, what's up, guys? Yo. Hello. I'm live, I think. Oh my god, dude. Oh, that's chill stream, bro. I didn't expect to win, I'm not gonna lie. I did not. I hear myself. Where do I hear myself? Where do I hear myself? Hello? Yo. There we go. Oh my god, bro. What's up, Bandy? Hello. What's up, Green Rider? Hello. What's up, bitch? What's up, Frito? Hello. Welcome, everyone. Hello. Welcome. Jeez, okay. Put that there. Twitch chat. Put that there. What's up, TCG? What's up? Hello. Wait, I can't see chat anymore. What happened in chat? What happened to my Twitch chat? Yo, TC, thanks for the follow. I appreciate that. Thank you for the follow. I got 5 subs that YouTube stream. Wait, actual W YouTube stream. Let me at everyone Discord now and say that I'm live on Twitch. Because I forgot to do that. Okay. Twitch stream now. Okay, cool. All right. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Twitch stream now. Bro, you gave yourself like 150% more luck and have... Wait. Hold on. Wait, what? I thought Compro. Hello. All right, Compro. I'll probably get on MCCI for a bit. Island.net. There you go. Wait, bro, you gave yourself like 150 more luck and half of your team couldn't even get iron. Yeah, I heard about... Yo, did you guys like actually... Did no one like rush cavers? Like, where were you guys at, bro? Where's everyone at? Where was everyone at? I'm so confused where everyone was at. Honestly, that was a dub for me though. I will literally take that dub. All right. I'm not gonna lie though. I kind of just wanted to test out I just wanted to test out my new thumbnail that I made. That was my first ever thumbnail that I made myself. And yeah. Hi Natalie. Hello. How are you, Natalie? Isn't that event thing today? Yeah, the event thing is today. It's a Prince Zam event. If you're talking about the MC Mayhem 24, that's this Saturday. My team is Wolfie, Greninja, and I forgot my fourth. Who's my fourth person? Oh, Garfield. That's my fourth. What's up, Crystal Palm? Hello. But yeah, we are MCC. We are on. I can't speak. Yo, why can I not speak English, dude? We are on MCCI chat for the time being. I believe the event, the Prince Zam event, soon. It's like, oh, it's like in an hour, 45 minutes ish. Yeah. Did you play Cosmic Sky? I did. Yes, I did. What's up, Jake FN? What's up, Bailey? Hello. I gotta go. Bye. Peace out, Nathalie. Adios. I don't want to be at work anymore. Yo, literally quit. Yo, okay. Don't actually quit. Okay. Don't actually quit your job. Don't do that. Do what I do. What I did one time. Pretend you broke your arm and say that you gotta go home. Easy. And they can't really say, they can't tell you to stay. Easy. Don't ask how I did that, by the way. Okay. What's up, Creator Pilot? What's up, man? Hello. Welcome to the stream. What is up? What's up, Sally? Hello. Listen, the only reason why I did that was because that day nobody was working but me, literally. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm just gonna pretend like I broke something. So I pretended that I broke my arm. Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Just from COVID. No, well, I don't know. Isn't that actually like? Wait, yo, hello? Like, am I in a game or not? I gotta relog. I'm glitched again. I don't know why that happened. What's up, Mr. Woo Boo? I don't know why that happens a lot to me. I get like just randomly glitched in blocks and stuff. Glitched in I don't know what I'm saying anymore. That was a good stream though. That was a good stream. A good YouTube stream. By the way, did anyone get like any ads on that or no? Did anyone get ads for that Twitch stream? For that YouTube stream? There was two things I was testing out there. Does the new YouTube ad thing that apparently they sent out today or like yesterday or something? It was like for a lot of people that go live a lot, I guess. But I had to test it out. I'm not sure. The stream was so dead, bro. Everyone was literally like a YouTube. I don't know how to explain it. Like YouTube, you know? Yo, Nero, what's up? Welcome to the stream. Defog. I didn't rip. Damn. Okay, that's actually weird then. That's really weird. Literally YouTube frogs. Yep. Actual YouTube frogs. Yeah, I know. I think next time I'll probably just like make an announcement first. On my next video, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Hi, Barry. Hello. Wait, Barry, bro, you never told me that you had a Jack Skellington, you know, besides the other day, but I did not know you had a Jack Skellington tattoo. That's actually amazing. Who did I kill? What? I killed someone? Okay, bro is just running away. Come on, give me some good. Give me some good. Okay, that's literally nothing good in there. That's nothing good. Oh, 2 levies. I'll take that though. My artist is goated. Chat, should we watch? You see, that's the thing though. How can we watch movies on Discord? Like that's actually allowed. Unless... Unless we make a whole other Discord and use that one. Nah, that'll be take away the fact. I don't even know. Let's do this. Wait, it's fruit berries. I actually got some with that. No way. No, please. Okay, well, Freddy Fazbear, bro. Oh my gosh. All right, I gotta go. Have to do some. Have a good stream. All right, peace out. Bye bye. Adios, adios, adios. Now it's time to be on Twitch algorithm. Yeah. By the way, I'm gonna be live today and tomorrow. Just FYI for everyone that's here right now. I'll be live today and tomorrow. You literally could have the name of the stream, being in the game, and it would have been true. True, actually. What's up, Mika? Wait, are you the other Mika as well? Wait, are you the Mika from Discord? Is that you? Are you Mika's? Am I tripping out? I might be tripping out. Am I dumb? Might be dumb as well. Yo, why is there a dev skin, an old dev skin beating me? Okay. Hi, Miri Queen. Hello. Hello, Miri Queen. Wait, you're a sub. W, you got gifted. I can't wait for the year or for the month to end so I can just lose all my 100 gifted. Feels good, man. Feels good, man. Hey, someone just died over there. Go. Speed bridge, baby. Speed bridge. My Catman skin. Boy, this guy's goated, bro. What? Wait, why are we gonna kill this kid? Okay. Bro is... Alright, bye, boy. Bye. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay. Little uppercut. Okay. Ow, why did they hit me aloft? Wait, what? Thanks for the follow, Chaotic V. Appreciate it. Oh, shit. There's like literally people right here. Okay, we're good. He's gonna wait, please. Hi, Liv. Hello. Welcome, Liv. Welcome to the stream. Oh my god, this song's goated for real. Wait, this guy's going for the kill, but I'm not gonna let him. Dead. Nice. Shot him. Killed him. For the loot. Way down here. Should be down here. Diamond sword. Thank you. Okay, we're gonna go back up here. We have one more levy. My teammate just died. It's all good. Show this to the limits. Yo, no way! No, that's crazy. That's crazy. Bro actually got the luckiest shot of his life. Nah, that's crazy. Go, let me requeue. Please, let me requeue. I don't want this guy in my game again. The guy's a sweat, bruh. Bro has a left ending. Hi, Andy. How are you, Miri? Hello. You literally could have named the stream being right there already. What the hell's wrong with me? I don't know. I think next time I just probably won't. I don't know. Either I put like no cooldown and just have everyone just attack me. One person. Oh, wait. I can just do that next time. What? I'll just have one person hunt me and just add people slowly to the game with no grace period, so it can be like actually fair. Because if I just add like 30 hunters off the bat, I'm gonna die because it's 30 people for 30v1, you know. Unless I get unless I can get like Bobble or something. But it's just like it's too easy if Bobble's on my team. I don't know. We'll see. Like nice, like 2 iron swords, bro. Like good stuff. Okay, throw that out. Okay. Oh, no one came this way, I guess. Everyone's literally that way. Okay. Wait, where did I get 2 levies from? Did I get them from the chest up here? I hope so. I am also streaming at 11 my time. This is actually like my old Andre's time that I used to stream in. I'm actually excited for the event though. But Chow, how many of you guys know about the event, by the way? Y'all know about the event already, or have you guys not been informed? Have I even told you about the event? Pretty much, Zam's hosting a Lava Rises event with a bunch of creators with voice chat on. So we'll be gaming with creators, chat. Antisocial Andres is like making a comeback, or not making a comeback anymore. Good morning, Mitch. Hello. Actually, it's like, is it still morning for me? Oh, I'm dead. I was distracted with that. Okay, I'm dead. All right, cool. I'm not dead. All right, I was gonna be dead there. Uh-oh, well, that's not good. Wait, who's on orange team? Oh, Generous Sheep. Uh-oh. Wait. What? Okay, that's actually gotta be the luckiest he's ever been in his life. No cap. I hope there's someone up here. Oh, there's definitely someone here. Get out, please get out, please get out. Are you doing it live? Yeah, I'll be live. I'll be live with everyone. Yo, hello? Thank you. Okay. Go for this over here. Don't see me. Okay, see me now. Actually, don't see me yet. Oh, yep, he saw me. Yo, bro's not taking any damage. Shot him again. Okay, bro, that just levied out of there. Wanted this guy dead. I want this guy dead. Please shut him down. I'm going for him. I don't care. I don't care. I want this guy dead. Oh my god. Please. Okay, I just died. Damn it, dude. Okay, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Now I was about to ask. So pretty much, yeah. I mean, I already said what's gonna happen. It's a bunch of creators. I think it's like a lot of like lifesteal people. I believe. I'm not too sure. It's like Ash Swag, Delilah died, Planet Lord, Panky, Redu. It's just a bunch of people. Spoke. I said Poke. Woogie. I love Woogie. Minitek. Oh my god, I love Minitek. Okay. But that's like in 30 minutes ish. So I have like 30 more minutes to stall, bro. 30 minutes to stall. Can I even like what am I gonna do for 30 minutes? I could keep playing Sky Battle. Vote well. Okay. Bam. 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 I just spilled water all over my keyboard. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. How unlucky am I, bruh? Bam. Please hit the jump. Thank you. I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna get everyone's things, harming potions. Oh, I'm just getting shot at right off the bat. Right off the rupee skippy. What's the details on the manhunt thing? Well, what do you mean by that? What do you mean the details for the manhunt thing? My current manhunt that I just finished, like today? Is that what you're talking about? Is that what I'm getting at right now? Bro, why is everyone bowing at me? Cool. I'm dead. I'm just dead, right? Why am I my bow? What? Did I throw my bow out? Hello? I don't need a bow. Okay. Well. There we go. Bow him off real quick. Actually, not really bow him off, but you know. Message wasn't because of moderation settings. Wait, what message did you try to send? Was it an inappropriate? Oh no. This guy is a diamond sword, and I don't have a diamond sword. This is a problem. But will I win this? Please tell me I win that. Oh, nope. He said he might be doing, oh, for like the next man, for my next manhunt. Yeah. So next manhunt, I might just do it with Bob Loot. No, bro. What are you doing, bro? Nah, bro. Nah, bro. We ain't cool like that, bro. Nah, bro. We ain't cool like that. We ain't like that, bro. Okay, maybe. Okay, well. Am I gonna perish soon? Might be perishing soon. That's a punch power bow. I don't know. We'll see. Thank you. Thank you. That's all a green team alive? Hello? Wait, it's literally all a green team. Okay. Oh. I love it. I love it. You can just... Were there two different green... Yep, there was. Okay. Nice. And I'm getting shot by all of them. Is it a viewer gets to join? It's literally on my YouTube channel, bro. Bowing Andres gives OP items. Is that what it was? Was that what that Sky Battle game was? Oh, hell no, bro. I probably should tweet out that on live, shouldn't I? It's fine. It is fine. It's fine. I will tweet out if I have to. I'm chilling for now. Be a group. No. Oops. Oops. Yo, how do you do team chat? Chat. No. 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 Oh, whatever. Okay. I just took everything. W Andres. There's definitely that one guy that's really sad that he didn't get any diamond boots. And I'm sorry. But I can't be your man. What am I saying, bro? Oh my god, bro. Yo, anyone in chat going to VidCon, TwitchCon, by the way? I'm still debating. I'm like 50-50 right now, not gonna lie. The flight's only $50 from Vegas to, or from LAX to Vegas. So I don't know. I don't know. Oh. Okay. Am I lagging or is it me? Is it the server? Might be the server. Might be me though. Could be me. Pay for my ticket, bro. Let me pay for my ticket first, and then you know. I don't know. It's like a mate, dude. I really want to go because it's like FOMO, you know, fear of missing out. But at the same time, it's like I could just save up like for VidCon. You know what I mean? The servers are quite okay. Yeah, I thought it was me. Thanks, Bailey. I thought it was me. Bro, what am I doing? For me, at least. I think it's for everyone. Wait, no way. This guy's camping me, right? Yeah, I was gonna say. Let me go kill him for camping me. Hey, dude. Okay, you know what? Maybe not. Yo? Okay. Okay, that was weird. I thought I had Iron Soul the whole time. If you really want to go, I have. But I'm not. It's okay. Listen. The only reason why it's like not worth going to TwitchCon is if you're not like, I don't know. It's like I'm not partner, so I really can't do anything. You know, you're really limited on things you could do as a partner or like, you know, as affiliate. Like you can't enter like. Okay, let's just say for example, all my friends were to go to the partner lounge. I'd be sitting outside doing absolutely nothing, which is really like, you know. But if I go to like VidCon, bro, I'm actually going backstage. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's very different. I don't know. Hi, Theo. Hello, Theo. Hello. But I mean, I have been talking about it for a year. You're right, 100%. Follow, go to TwitchCon. No, more like dono goal to go to TwitchCon. VidCon was 1,000,000%, 10 times better than TwitchCon, 100%. And I feel like next year VidCon will be 10 times better only because there's like there'll be like more people going next year. Can you have any friends, party managers give you a pass for what? TwitchCon? What? So I've like done research on like, you know, for yo Moon's Rain, thanks for the raid. How was your 24-hour stream? How was 24 hours SMP? Thanks for the raid, appreciate it so much. Hello Raiders, hello, I'm Andres. I'm a streamer and I like Minecraft and I like Sky Battle and I am also Minecraft. I love Minecraft. I do manhunts for a living. Thanks for the shout out. I also am getting targeted a lot recently. Don't know why, for some reason. I feel like people, yeah. Oh my god, thanks for all the follows. Caro and Damien, appreciate it. Wait, Damien's best friend. Wait, are you Damien's best friend or are you Damien? Yo. Bro's trolling. My teammate's trolling. Not no more. Wait, that's literally... Help me. Oh my god, please. Chat, we're chilling. Someone like got hospitalized in that TwitchCon? Yeah. That was... I was actually like... I wasn't there, but like... I was there, you know what I mean? Like, I was around when it happened. I saw someone in a wheelchair. And it was really weird. I don't know. I saw someone in a wheelchair, and then I see it trending on Twitter. It was really... Wait, there's no way I'm getting streams. Who are you, bro? I'm not gonna... Dude, I know what this is, bro. Thanks, man. Thank you. Because if I... Yeah, dude. Okay. 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 Dim is my AKT. Gotcha. Okay. I'm going to bed for the next year. Okay, have fun. Have fun in bed. Bro, why does everyone want to be with me, bro? Yo. Okay. You're gonna follow me now, or what's going on? Okay, apparently I'm taking lead, chat. Okay, nice. I can just sleep someone real quick. This is a Rambo skin. Okay, well, bro, just okay. Okay, they just really wanted me dead there, I guess. Okay. Andres, yeah, listen, okay, I talk too fast, okay, I'm sorry. It's probably because you do YouTube and stuff, they think that killing a streamer YouTube is like huge. I think we should do a stream where I go on YouTube and I find clips of I killed Twitch streamers and YouTubers in MCC Island. Bro, the first day MCC was out, there was so many videos of just clipping people killing me. Bro, I'm a no one. Why do you want videos of me killing me, bro? You know what I mean? It's whatever, though. Yo, Athene, thanks for follow. I appreciate it. By the way, I'm sorry that I'm loud. For anyone that's coming from Moon's Range raid, I'm a loud streamer. I am loud. I am loud. And I can get loud as well. Wait, what were we talking about, chat? But yo, enjoy your sleep, though. I know 20... Listen, last week I was up for 37 hours. Don't ask why. Okay, don't ask why. I am not a Pepega with a megaphone, okay? Yo. I am not Pepega megaphone. I swear I am not Pepega either. Yeah, 37. Well, 38. Well, most like 42. Well, what's 24 plus 40? I forgot how long I was up for, I'll be honest with you. Because I was up... Okay. I gotta actually do the math. I was up that Friday at 7 in the morning and didn't sleep until Sunday at 6 p.m. Can someone do the math? I don't know. I don't know the math. What's the math behind that? Who is putting creepers on my base, bro? If I get, please don't get bowed off. Okay. I don't know the math. I kind of just like went to sleep as soon as I hit my bed. I told myself that I once I hit my bed, I was gonna go to sleep, and it happened. And I went to sleep. W. So W sleep. Yeah, don't do that, by the way. Don't actually do that. It's not worth it. I actually have no idea. I'm just speaking. Okay, W Jasmine. Also, Mitch, if you're still here, was that you in the YouTube stream earlier? So I can mod you there. Guys, wait, guy has insomnia. What's that? Is that why you just never sleep? No. Oh, you know what was bad? When I went to go meet Boostfer, I was only on like an hour's sleep and I was driving to LA. Don't do that. Yo, driving in LA is already like bad enough, right? But driving in LA while like being half asleep, let me tell you, that's also a no-go. Okay, don't do that. You took all the levies? Oh shit, I did. Thanks. Oh, yo, Void Block, just follow up. Thanks for the follow. I appreciate that. I appreciate it. Yeah, don't sleep with 0 hours of sleep in LA. Everyone's gonna honk at you no matter what. Even if you're like thinking you're doing a good job, you're probably doing a horrible job for them. I don't understand LA drivers, bro. I don't. I hate LA so much. Will I drive there again? Yes. I love like the little tight spaces in LA. It feels so good. I live really close to LA. I live like 2 hours from LA. No, not even like an hour without traffic. 45 minutes without traffic. If I leave my house now, no, if I leave my house at 4 in the morning, I'll be there in LA like at 4:45 a.m. Done the math already. Also did something very illegal in LA. I didn't know. So there's a parking place, right? There's a parking. Okay, let's just say like right here, okay? Right? Let's just say like this blue here is for parking, right? And then this right here is like for traffic, for ongoing traffic, for like going down, right? Dude, your boy was zooming down this lane, bruh. I was zooming down the parking lane until like I realized that all the cars are here. Yeah, almost. Yeah. It's all right. That's all right though. I want to visit LA. Don't trust me. Don't. It's not what it is. It's not what it is. How do I know? Just like someone just sitting down here. No, you're not coming down here, bro. Going down here? 100%, right? Oh. Yo, do I not hear someone down here? Am I tripping out? Oh, no. Okay, I have 411. Bro, who is... Why is everyone bowing at me? Hold on, I have an idea. Please work, please work, please work, please work. Boink. Boink. Wait. No, no. W. But now I'm kind of screwed here. Oh my god, he's no here. Oh my god. I just win this, right? Wait, do I just win that or not yet? I just win, right? Let's go, baby! Woo! GG! Oh my god. Okay, anyways, what are they talking about? Oh, we're talking about LA. Yeah, chat, don't go to LA. Listen, go to like, I don't know. Okay, first of all, do not go to SF. San Francisco, there's a lot of weirdos in San Francisco, let me tell you. Don't go to San Francisco. Do not go to NorCal, okay? Do not go to NorCal. Trust me, it's not worth it. San Francisco is just not it. If you want to see the bridge, just look it up online. Look up San Francisco Bridge. Besides that, you're good, okay? Just no need to go to San Francisco. It's just like, it's just a no-go. Don't do that. Literally just go to like the less touristy spots in California, and I swear to God, you'll have way more fun. I guess go to Disney. Disney's fun. What else? Disney's fun. Hollywood, if you want to visit Hollywood, I guess is pretty cool. Like, you know, like, I don't know. It's just like, I don't know. Don't go to LA expecting to be like fun. LA is just not fun. I don't know. I just maybe like, actually no, there is a lot of like good places to eat in LA. Don't get me wrong, but like, I don't know, if you're trying to like have fun in California, just don't go to LA. Trust me. I think you probably have more fun in Anaheim. I'll be honest with you. Like, chat, what's like some things you've heard about LA? I'll let you know if it's real or not. Knott's? I used to have a pass at Knott's. Probably, yeah, I think I did. Yeah, I did have one. I was like 13, 14. I would get one every Christmas. I got one for like 3 years straight. I just went like 3 times. Yeah, I was gonna say. I've heard it's dirty as hell. Yeah, it is. Well, it is dirty, but it's also like, if you're trying to go for like, I think, in my opinion, I think Knott's might be better than Six Flags, in my opinion. When I'm going to the restaurant, it's fine. Okay, now that I have free time, might go like, okay. If these next 2 uploads hit, I will go to your restaurant, Swine. I will, on everything. Clip this right now. I will go to your restaurant if my next 2 videos do Pog, okay? That deal. Lock it in. Handshake. Firm handshake. I've been to San Francisco, but never LA. Yeah, let me know. Let me guess. You hated San Francisco? I hate San Francisco. I hate San Francisco so much. I don't care. I just hate San Francisco. I'm allowed to hate stuff, right, chat? Oh my god, this guy is... Okay. It wasn't awful, but a little boring. Exactly, because all you do is you see the damn big tower, and that's it. You leave, you dip. That's it. Besides that, a lot of weird people there. You don't want to end up like them. A lot of weird people. I've seen a lot of crazy stuff that's happened in San Francisco the last, like, hold on. Let me clear comments real quick. There's like someone just trying to blow me up right now. Hi, Mary. Wait, you say, wait, Sailor, hello. How are you, Sailor? Welcome to the stream where I'm literally just smiling. Wait, when's the event? Okay, 10 minutes. Yo, I cannot forget, bro. Check it. Someone like tell me if I missed the event in 10 minutes. The Joker, hello. Is lava invisible? Wait, where? Oh, there's lava somewhere? Am I tripping out? Oh, yeah. There's no. Okay, listen. It's in 10 minutes. Okay, Joker. You actually. I got you baited, bro. I got you baited without being baited. Wait, watch this chat. Ready? This. Watch. I'm gonna get like 30 kills right here. Oh, okay. I'm gonna just kill myself. Hold on. Please. Please. No. Oh no. I'm going for this kill. Got him. Yo, why do I suck so much, bro? How do I suck so much? I'm crinkling my water bottle. I suck. Okay, we're good. Chat, what did y'all eat today? Andres, why are you targeting me? Bro, I didn't target you, bro. What are you talking about? I haven't traveled much. I can't afford to say. That's what I'm saying. I'm taking YouTube seriously this month. I already have 2 videos recorded already. And I did a thumbnail already for one. I was working on my next thumbnail. And they're getting edited right now as we speak. Which I think... Speaking of... Let's see. Never mind. Thought I got damn bad one video already. But nope. And I'll be honest with you. If these videos are done and going with already, I might like honestly just throw in another upload between then. I'll see though. I'll see. Because I'm starting to get another plugin ready. Garfield. Oh no. W. Quatero. Wait, W teammates. Wait, my teammates aren't actually like NPCs. For once. Teammate, you good, bro? 100 videos are fun. Yeah, I've been trying to make them even way better. I've been trying to one-up myself every time. But you can only one-up yourself so much until you hit like a point where it's like pretty much rock bottom. Lolly. What? Okay. Chat, what's the definition of lollygag? Is that like, what does that mean? Like actually, serious question. Definition of lollygag. Wasting time. Oh, okay. So a fool. No. What is, okay then like it. Okay, I see. Sorry, every time I stream I just think I'm like I'm in college class or something. I don't know. What am I saying right now, bro? I think I'm just speaking. Hello? Okay, we're good. Watch this. Okay, we're gonna dip. Please win one time. Nice. Nice. Ooh. Okay. We're gonna go up here. If I win this shot, I don't even know. I'll give like 1 million subs away one day. Now, my thought process of that game was to actually win the game. But you know me, I love throwing the game for content. What the f am I doing? Why did I just jump off there? Hello? Am I playing? Is someone playing for me? Like, hello? Hello? Yo. Okay, when's the event? 5 minutes. Should I be joining you now? Wait, 1 sec. Wait, there's a call. Wait, 2 seconds. Wait, I don't know if I should be streaming this call. I'm scared. Mika with the 5 gifted! Mika! Oh my god! Oh my god, oh my god. Mika with the 5 gifted. Thank you so much, Mika. I appreciate it so much.
Shadow Grape Gamer.
Yo, Shadow, Thunder, Bunny, and Sharkies and Compro. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Mika is back. Top of the top right now. Yo, hello, Tomboy.
Mika's has
Ow.
gifted a sub to Booney
Yeah,
_
okay, I should probably call you Cat. Yo, what's up, Cat? Hello. Hello, hello, hola. Hola, como estas? Thank you, Mikas, for the 5 gifted. People shy.
Mika's has gifted a sub to Compro.
Wait, I actually need to join this call. Wait, I'm scared. Yeah. Chat, do I join? I'm joining the call.
And the second I joined back, you're all like, British!
Hi,
British is
Andre.
back!
Hello, hello, hello.
Hi.
Too much
Hello.
British
Hello.
representation.
Hello.
Yes.
Jesus allowed.
I am British. Yo.
Hello.
Yeah, hello.
you
You're
British?
not
Yo.
British.
Yeah.
Jesus, Andres,
I
you're allowed.
love Minitech. Sorry.
Mika's has
All
gifted
right.
a sub
Yeah.
to
Okay.
I mean,
I'll put
people
you
are
down.
live for this. That's crazy. I did not know people were gonna go live for this. This is awesome.
Wait.
I know.
I would, but my
Wait,
wife
who's going
hates
live?
me.
Wait, should
No,
I
no,
live
no,
this
like,
now?
no, you can be
I'm-
live. Yeah, no.
Okay.
there's
I'm gonna
nothing wrong
record
with
it.
that.
I'm gonna be honest, I
It's
found
funny
out
though,
I
'cause
was
both your
free like
stream
5
titles-
minutes ago. So
Both your
I am
stream
not
titles say
streaming.
Lava Rising.
Yeah.
That's
That's
not
not
what
you gotta
get the
man,
clicks, you know.
actually.
Clickbait.
If you want to change it, change it just for you. It's all right.
No, you guys don't need to change it. No, it's fine. That's
Wait, it's not Lava
it's really
Rises?
funny though.
It's fine.
It's not Lava
It's
Rising.
Void
No, it's Void
Rising.
Rising.
We
Okay.
tested
Wait,
it.
I
and
was
Void
thinking
Rising
Lava
is
Rising.
significantly more fun.
It's the same thing. It's similar enough.
It's
okay.
the same, but instead you don't
Wait,
burn.
okay.
It's
but you just
essentially
die.
the same.
I can only put Lava Rises, guys. I gotta go.
Boy.
Oh, shit.
Womp womp.
Sorry. Yeah.
Clickbait.
Goodness. There's so many people here. Oh, this server does have voice procs, so it's not gonna be like super loud.
What
and
version?
Stuff. It's the one sent in mods. It's that specific version. I think
I
you might.
bet.
I don't know if you'll be able to join with what's it called, with another version. I don't know. I haven't really done that much testing. I'll be honest. I just put a server together and was like, hey guys. So
Yippee.
yeah, hopefully this works. I
Woo!
need to get the IP now. Hold on.
I already
Boom,
got the IP.
Boom. Panky
Yeah.
already
Okay.
has the IP.
I also already.
Okay.
I haven't.
It's in info. That's the IP. Everyone join up. Oh wow.
Oh
my God.
my
Jesus
God.
Christ.
Noise.
That was loud. That
Okay.
was really loud.
What an intro.
Goodness. Okay. All right, guys, join up.
I-
Join the server.
Join up, guys. Oh, yeah.
See if your
Hey,
voice
guys.
box works. Hopefully it
Slay.
works.
Hey
Oh
guys.
my gosh, it's
Hey,
working!
guys.
So
Okay,
we-
yeah, they're working. I'm gonna deafen.
So we probably shouldn't leak the IP, right?
Whitelist is on, so it's
Okay.
not
Wait,
the
I
worst
already
thing
created
ever,
it.
but you
What's the
probably
worst that can
shouldn't
happen?
leak it.
Bye.
We all get
I don't
DDoSed.
Let's
I'm
go.
gonna hack into the mainframe.
Why did that?
I finally got like a solid
guys.
home, so Oh. please, I
I'm
don't
in
want
the
to get.
Chat, give me 1 sec. For some reason, my mod's not working now. That's not good. This is not good. I gotta like remove a lot of things here. I gotta remove this thing. Okay, remove, delete. I probably should not have added all these mods in, to be honest with you. But I added them anyways because why not? Okay, this should be good now, right? Print Sam. Give me 1 sec, chat. 1 sec, 1 sec. The Void Rising in the Andres Cannon event. What does that mean? Am I bald? Hello, Nero. Change the title then? Chat, should I change the title or should I leave it like that? Should I just keep it as it is? Yo, TJ, thanks for the follow. I appreciate it. Yo, why isn't it working? What? It says the thing is not working. Okay, let me delete this one too then. Is that good now? Play. Wait, let's find out. Oh? Will it work? Oh, it hasn't stopped yet. but also hasn't started yet. Oh. Chat, let me know if you guys can see Minecraft. Please let me know. Mayhem. Andres, look at your
Press
Discord.
enter to enable the narrator.
What's happening? Why am I hearing my... Chat, don't look at the IP, please. Yo! Huh? Yo, huh? Yo, I can't hear anything. Yo. Dude. Yo, why is everything so boosted, bruh? Yo, how do I get rid of that, bruh? Yo, how do I get... Yo, what is that? Why are you guys there? I hate you guys. I hate you guys so much. I hate you guys. Okay, chat, actually don't look at this though, because this is actually like confidential. So you guys have to like look at that for now. There you go. Okay, that's the IP. Chat, should I leak the IP? Yo. Okay. We're good.
Hello?
Byron?
testing?
Wait, I can't hear anything.
Oh, hey guys.
Hello?
Yeah, hello?
Can you hear me?
I can hear
Yeah.
you.
Okay.
Wait, can you hear me?
Working. Everyone's so quiet. I gotta turn everyone
Okay.
Minecraft.
Okay, I can't hear anything. I can't hear anyone. What am I doing? What am I doing?
What happens if I turn everyone to 300%? It's gonna go great.
Byron?
Ben? Wait, I can't hear Ben.
Yes.
Wait. Stop talking. Yo, it's not Fulbright, bruh. Okay, controls, keybinds. F, Z, doom. Your microphone, voice chat, GUI, settings.
Here's turned everyone.
Hello?
Oh my
Yo,
That was a
god.
mistake.
That's awesome. That's
What?
awesome.
Hello? Can you guys hear me?
What is that?
Yeah, hello?
Yo, bro.
Yeah, hello?
Yeah.
Well, you kind of sound like someone I know. Oh, no. Wait. How do I do this?
Oh no, dude.
Byron? Yo, I hear Minutech.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you too.
Yo, Minutech, I'm a big fan, bruh.
Thank you.
I'm just kidding.
Fuck.
Yeah.
That's crazy. The switch up is crazy. I love you.
Bro. Bro, what are you on about here?
I don't know. I gotta go. Okay. Yo. Wait. Oh no.
I don't think the voice chat works.
Oh. Yeah, I don't think it works.
Yeah.
Okay. Yo. Okay. Yo.
Some heavy breathing.
Yeah. Yo. How do I? Yo. Hello.
Hi. Yes. Hi.
Yo.
Yo.
Dude, how do I mute my microphone?
Bro, keybind it, bro.
Okay. Controls, keybinds. What? Oh, mute microphone. M. Yo, man, it's like fuck.
Yeah.
Yo, I thought. Okay, well, how do I mute sounds now? Oh, disable voice chat. Lol. Okay, chat. I figured it out. I'm here now. Yo, Trolliant, thanks for the follow. I appreciate you. Yeah, hello.
Yeah, hello.
I am ready for this. Yo, chat, should I have music for this or nah? I have Ellie, hello. Wait, settings, closed captions off. Yes. Also, how do I turn off how do I turn off subtitles on mobile? I have no idea. I low-key have no idea. Chat, by the way, okay? By the way, I have a question. Wait, let me make sure I'm muted on Discord. Okay, I am. Chat, I have a question, right? So how does one wait, what was I gonna ask? I forgot already. I forgot. Oh no. Chat, I know this guy. I know everyone here. Actually, I don't know anyone. That's Prince Zam. That's cool. Wait, I forgot what my question was. Oh, my question was I wanted to do something like I did back in the day where pretty much it's like a viewer skyblock, right? But it's versus me, right? So it's like the first one to beat the game wins. But it's like all the viewers versus me. So pretty much Andre's just community, but I get Twitch points. You know, I can like pretty much summon stuff, or I mean, you guys can with channel points. Wouldn't that be sick? I don't know. I feel like that'd be really, really cool. All right, I gotta mute now.
Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Hi, Q.
You know,
Hi. Oh my god.
Hi.
We have to kick ass.
We do. We need to. So much ass needs to be kicked. You're right.
With my foot.
Yeah, with both of those feet you have. Right
You
there,
put the
those-
grip.
Thanks to follow. I am back.
Oh my gosh, everyone's
Yeah.
up there.
This is gonna be This will be fun. They should just keep the world border this size. I think.
Yeah. No, the voices just start rising really quickly as well, and everyone just dies. No one gets a chance to
Yeah,
fend for
yeah.
themselves.
Yeah, no, that would be pretty awesome. I think.
Immediately consumed by the void.
Exactly.
Totally. This is so.
I probably should just be talking to my chat right now. Yo, chat. Yeah, hello. Yo, JJ Kalani. Thanks to the follow. I appreciate it. Hello, welcome to the stream. My name is Andres, and I like Minecraft. Should I just do that for everyone that follows me from now on? Did I just introduce myself as Andres and that I like Minecraft? I feel like that's very, very cool, right? A little about me. My name is Andres, and I like Minecraft. Well, let me just kill Minatek real quick. Make sure. Hello, JJ. Andy, what's your favorite food? Depends. French fries, 100%. French fries go crazy. Even when I'm cutting, it's crazy good. Or like just potatoes. Potatoes are good. Chicken is nice as well. Very nice, good seasoned chicken.
You sound like you
Fuck
stupid
you, that's what you fucking
bitch.
fuck you, fuck you.
So
many noises.
bro,
I
what
hate
the fuck is in
you.
my ear right now, bro?
Yo,
what is
I'm
this?
family friendly. Please,
Anyway, you wanna team up?
please.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yo.
let's team up. I'm down.
Yo, can we stop the cursing, please, guys?
Alright, let me turn you up.
Yeah, okay, I'm kidding. Yeah, okay, I'm kidding, bro. Okay. Jeez, man. Hey, damn. Shit.
I can hear the
I
crouching.
don't even know how to do.
Yeah, bro. I just got stared at, bro. They said no. No more cuss word, guys.
I got a secret meeting place. Come here.
I need to
Into
sneeze.
my secret hideout.
Oh
Isn't this
yeah.
awesome?
Oh yeah.
I
Sound
reserved
knows
this
where
place.
it's at.
You know how much?
I just got an Xbox.
You know, I'm
cheap.
just-
I don't know.
You just got an Man, Xbox. what is this? exclusive? Hey, this is my secret base. Hey.
Hey,
Hey, I'm walking here.
You know what? No, you can come in. You can come in. Come on, come here. Come here.
Hey,
Don't worry, don't worry.
walking it.
Who's down here? I rent
There's
this
no one
place
down
for
here.
$5,000 a month.
Can I join
New York
the
City
server?
rent is
I'm
crazy.
in the Discord, man. I need technical support.
What drugs do you
John.
have?
Though, what happened?
No, unmute it so I
Well,
can talk
right
to
now
you
I don't
normally.
got anything.
Oh, okay.
So,
Oh,
I mean, I can
Oh.
get you some.
wait, what
Hey,
kind?
John. What kind you want?
The good kind. The ones that do
John,
extra.
do we got the good kind?
Yeah, it's over here. Look. Well, you can't go back there.
That's
Sorry.
a wall.
What are you selling?
Exactly.
Well, whatever you want us to sell. What do you
Minecraft sugar
need?
cane.
Huh?
I would like one
drug, please. All right. Here.
Burn,
It's
burn,
like
burn,
pretend. We gotta
burn,
pretend
burn,
like I have the
burn,
drug.
burn.
There you go.
This is such a cozy area. Who's that?
Man, I
Thank
can't
you,
wait
yeah.
to murder Minute
Hey, out of my
and
apartment.
sleep.
I'm
sorry.
Yo,
Yo,
Why
yeah.
you
I
do
rent this
this?
place for $5K a month, and there's no privacy.
That's it?
There's no privacy. My walls are literally clear.
New York apartment for sale right now.
There's no way out this way.
This is great. Why are you up there?
No.
Don't worry about it. I'm leaving.
Chat, what is going on? Why is the first thing people are offering me drugs? Should I take them? I'm taking them.
in there.
That's great. What if the server just never
Oh.
starts? What if it's just this?
Yeah, what if we just never start the event? This is just constantly.
I feel like this is the event.
I mean,
Last
I
to
like
leave
this.
wins.
This is, I'm
Last
not
to leave
against
wins.
this.
It's great.
Yo,
Last to leave their computer wins
first
the
to leave.
event.
Yo, first to leave gets $10 right now. Go. That's crazy.
Let's go.
Let's go. Bro got scammed. Bro got scammed.
Where's my money?
Yeah.
Guys, something's wrong with Reddit.
Why does red look?
Something's wrong with Reddit.
All right, easy chat. It made someone disconnect. Just easy. Undeafen. Oh.
What happened?
Hold
You
on,
look
I
a
gotta
little-
definitely this one.
Hang on,
Listen,
wait.
man. Listen.
something's different about you.
I
You've
mean, I
changed,
shaved.
You got a
You've
haircut,
changed.
didn't ya?
You've
Oh,
changed.
got a haircut.
No, I shaved.
I like
See,
the
I no longer had my goatee.
Why is everyone in
Oh,
my ears?
that's what it is.
Well, you see, IDK, I just returned from a grand war that I participated in, and the problem
Did you
is that a
now?
lot of people were trying to team kill me. No, man, they were trying to team kill me, so I had to go under another alias called
Did you
Filbert.
actually?
Reduce.
Yeah, I did. It's like in my recording and shit.
That's awesome.
An
Yeah, no.
undercover.
Chat, I don't belong here. Yo, okay.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yo, Crumb, thanks for the follow. Thank you so much. Also, hello, JJ. Wait, you're a shatter sub, W. Wait, I gotta unmute now.
Or it kind of fell through. They
Eating
kind
my mic
of
at
folded
the
because they
moment.
realized we were better than them.
New Hoi 4 DLC, by the way. Swedish focus tree.
Oh, I don't know
We're
what
playing
you're
Hoi
talking
4.
about now.
I'm getting the DLC
Okay,
subscription.
Yeah, you get the DLC.
I'm getting it right now. Hold on. I'm getting it right
Nordic
now.
DLC, dude. Nordic
Wait,
DLC.
actually, okay, we're doing this. Hold on, let me have a
Talking
look
about
at
nerd
it.
shit.
Hold on.
Talking about
Europa
nerd
Universalis 4. Let me have a look at
Nerd
this
shit.
DLC.
Nerd.
Ah, it's so loud.
I know, everyone
Okay.
is really loud.
No, not the game. I'm talking about the DLC. Like, the
Here,
freaking.
I'll do it
Okay,
again.
is it the Lions of the North? Is that the one?
Oh, I don't know what that is.
Johor's?
Oh no, I got sticky key.
Lions.
Chat, should I ask everyone on the team?
Oh,
Chat, should I do that right now? Should I just go one by one asking everyone if they want a team? And at the end, I have everyone as a team, then no one can kill me because they're all teamed. Then I have literally a million friends and no one can kill me. Thoughts? Should I do that now? I should probably do that now. That's cringe. Should everyone be my enemy and just kill everyone on sight? Listen. If I become enemies with the whole server, they're all gonna kill me, right? But if I become friends with the whole server, then no one's gonna kill me and I just win by default because everyone's my friend. Right? Either extreme is cringe. Damn. So pretty much I'm just cringe in general. Okay, nice. Like, thanks, MJ. Okay. I'm just cringe by default. Nice. W. Yes, murder. Okay. Time to murder everyone in my way. Wait, I got a DM. What is this? General. Let's see. There you go. I'll send that little GIF emote. Okay. I'm gonna actually no. I know one person that I'm gonna be teaming with, but I ain't gonna say who it is, chat. I'll be honest with you. I ain't gonna say who it is. If you guys guess my teammate right now, I'll gift you a sub. If you're not subbed, I'll be honest. 100%. And he's in my POV right now. I'm not gonna say who it is though. Good luck. When's the game starting, bro? Soon. Listen, I ain't the leader of this. It's this guy here. It's Prince Zamberson. Is it a Minitech? Scared face? No, of course not. I'm just kidding. It is. Damn it. Jaden? No. Undeafened Discord. Brian?
Not everyone's undeafened yet.
I have undeafened.
I have now one.
Hello. Hey guys, it's
Checking
time.
rooms.
It's time for Prince Zam to say words. We're still waiting
Whoa.
on some
I love
people. Hold on.
words.
For the first time
Thanks.
ever,
Okay.
Prince Sam will talk.
I know. Okay. All right,
Voice
guys,
reveal.
get ready. Prince Zam voice reveal. Okay, here we go.
my
3,
God.
2, 1. Hey guys, what's up?
Oh my God.
Holy shit! Oh my God! Shit, clip
Oh
it.
my God.
please.
Oh my God, please stop.
Cover again.
Wow.
Okay. I'm gonna start the event.
That,
Can you
It's gonna start
unvoice
now.
that was terrible.
Okay.
I don't want to unvoice reveal. Okay, guys, it's time for the event. I'm gonna explain how everything works. Basically, there's gonna be like a 5 or 10. I don't remember which one I chose. 5 or 10 minutes. Or no, it's either 10 or 15 minutes. One or the other. Grace period. It's probably gonna be 15. I think it's 15-minute grace period. Then 10 minutes where the border starts closing, and then once the 10 minutes is up, the void will begin rising, and then PvP will be like PvP enables after 15 minutes, right? Then the border starts closing in, and then the void starts rising and stuff.
What if I don't want to rise?
then, well, it will, unfortunately.
How
and
fast
then
does the void
If I
rise,
say no
Prince
to
Zam?
it, will it still rise?
and then once the void starts rising, PvP will like deaths will be permanent.
Okay.
There we go. Yeah,
So
deaths
this is a
become permanent
hardcore
after the void
SMP?
starts rising. No, not yet. After like 25 minutes, then death becomes permanent, guys. So be careful. It's gonna be crazy.
I have a
Oh my God.
suggestion.
Isn't death always permanent?
What's the suggestion? No, not really.
I think next time you do one of these, it should be Minecraft, but your money rises.
Oh, that could be cool.
That'd be cool. I like money.
That would be-
Money's
Mintek
cool.
didn't like
Wait,
that. Mintek didn't
I
like
heard
that.
that
Mintek didn't
Prince
like
Sam
that.
is
The horse
sponsoring
didn't
this
like that
event
joke.
worth $500. W Prince Sam.
Yeah, winner gets $5.
$100.
$5.
Can I get 5 cents, please?
Sponsored by
Wait,
Panky.
five-
W.
5
Can I get
Uh,
5 Happy Meals if I win?
I'll say hi to you. If you win, you get a hi. I'll say hi. Okay.
Can you
event starts
switch that
now.
hi to a
everyone
Happy
go,
Meal?
Go. It starts now.
Oh,
It starts
oh,
now.
oh,
Okay.
Event starts now. Okay, where's the horse? The horse!
Under us.
Yo, come with me. Okay, yo, why are you
I
yelling,
just scream
bro?
at you. I just
Yo,
All right, let's go.
clear comms, bro. Yo, this bro is literally yelling, dude. Bro's yelling a yell.
Yo, my fault. Yo,
No, you're
yo,
good,
it's
bro.
my bad.
Hey, you want
I'm
you?
sorry. I
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
mean it. Yeah, I didn't mean it. My bad.
Yeah, you sure about that? I think you meant it. Yo,
Yo, okay.
this Prince Sam guy's crazy, isn't he?
Is he following us? What's going on here?
Nah, bro's not following us. Bro's not teaming
All
with
right,
us, right?
let's just get basic iron gear and then we're chilling.
Yo, okay, I bet.
Cause look at Tab. I think we're chilling this event. Like the only threat is like Radoons maybe. I don't know.
Like Panky maybe?
Maybe.
I don't know. Some guy named Anj is pretty freaking scary. I'm not gonna lie.
Baron, I hear something. Oh, it's more NPCs over there.
Yo!
Yo,
Bro is calling
that
out
was
an
a-
NPC.
Yo, I'm actually going crazy this event. My bad.
Hey.
Hey.
I always have the bubbles last. I don't know why.
What?
Drink first.
Bro. You said what about balls? Wait, what? You said boba? What? Wait. Oh, wait,
yeah,
wait, there's someone
yeah.
here.
So it's just like it's just really difficult.
Wait, minute, can we
God,
kill
yeah.
everyone on site?
What the? No. No, you can't kill on site. It's impossible.
Oh, trust
hello?
me. Oh, yeah, hello? Over here,
Yeah, I
like
think
down
we
here.
have 15 minutes before we can.
Yeah, I bet. We kill these guys first down here.
What the
I
heck?
bet.
Yo! Yeah, that's crazy. Okay.
Neither do I.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna snag some iron real quick. Actually, wait, no. Let's go. Should we go to a cave? Cause Void's gonna be rising. We should probably just grab the surface iron.
Well,
Wait, the
not
void's
until 50
rising?
minutes. Not until 50 minutes, right?
I mean, true. But like, shit. I don't know.
Wait, listen. Hear the stretch. Ready? Wait, everyone's hearing us, though. Crap. I'm gonna say it anyways. You dig straight down to bedrock, and then you tell you when.
Yo,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm just gonna go down. I'm gonna go down.
Okay.
I'll be the NPC right now. Wait, meet up like 5 minutes here, okay? Like right where you're
Okay,
at.
bet.
I bet. All right, chat, I'm with myself. Yeah, low. Okay. I can't see a single thing. I don't have full bright. Oh no, this is actually crazy. Can I use full bright? Okay. Yo, chat, can someone link me a full bright texture pack, please? Thank you. For 1.20. That cool? I can't see anything, bruh. I literally cannot see a single thing. Bro, I need full bright ASAP. Oh my god. Dev is my favorite. I love Dev so much. Bro, I can't see us. Bro, don't make me just pull out my freaking... Yo, I can't see a single thing, bro. Wait, they don't work anymore? Bruh. Then how am I meant to see then? Oh no. Do I just dig straight down? Mine works fine. Can you link me? Can someone link me? Just Ellie, can you link me your text pack, please? Man. Is anyone near me? Hello? If you're near me, say I smell like cheese. Alright, there's no one near me. Ooh, is that a cave? Well, I can't say anything, so it doesn't really matter what that is. Iron. Alright, goal is full iron. Bruh. Man. You should be able to. You should be able to send it in my general media. I think. I'm a Discord. Discord. Okay. Do that. I don't have anything to smelt. I have to use that really quick. Okay, we'll have to meet up a minute second, like in 5 minutes. So we're chilling. Okay. We're chilling, chat. We're chilling. Hi, Kayoka. Welcome back. Hello. Hi, I'm back. Hello. Someone can, when you link, by the way, can you make, yo, mods. When you guys see it in my Discord, can you at me on Discord so I can go and open it? All right, I can have a water bucket now, I guess. Or what do I really want? Do I want to mine faster? I might just want to mine faster, low key. Hashtag Booster's dad's in the, yeah, Booster's my dad. I mean, I'm Booster's dad. I made Booster. What's wrong with me? Okay. Okay. You know what? I'm gonna risk it. We don't want, no. Minute, I can't message Minute Tech. Yo, whisper Minute Tech. There you go. Oh, I see water. Okay, this is really good. Now I just need to find a good cave to mine in. Please do not kill me. I am just an NPC player. Okay, let's do this real quick. 1, 2, 3, and go. Okay. There's literally nothing here. What the f am I doing? What 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 am I doing? Lava, yes. Save my life. Thank you. Damn, Andre. Damn, Booster's dad. I just gotta call you that. Yes, please call me Booster's dad. From then on out, from here on out, just call me Booster's dad, please. Please. Refer me to as Booster's dad. I probably should be going up now. But I'm not even full iron yet. Okay. Go down. This way. Okay. Put a block over my head. I think this is iron. I hope I'm mining iron. This is too quiet. I can't do too quiet. Somebody help me. Help! Help! Help me! Somebody help! Help! Alright, I go up. My teammate's waiting for me on top there. I'm gonna tell him that I only have 18 pieces of iron. Okay. Have you been? Been good. Been great. Thanks for asking. Burn. Change the file. Appreciate it. Go here. General media. Yo, that's crazy. I got it. Continue. Go here. Fulbright. I think that'll work. Here. Drag. Close that out. Close that out. Close that out. Boom. Fulbright. That's not Fulbright. That's Fulbright. Please work. Please work. Please work. If this works, you're W. Thank you so much, Ellie. Y'all can see now. Dubs. Well, I can see coal now, bruh. Oh my god. Oh my god. I can see coal. It's alright. Please mine faster. Wait, I'm gonna die. Wait, there's no damage. Oh, in that case, I can just like mine iron freely then without taking damage right now. Right? Okay. Let me get more iron, please. I need more iron. Someone next to me. Please. No one kill me, please. I'm just I'm just a nice guy trying to get iron. Yo, am I tripping? Do you guys hear that water as well? Is there a cave above me or something? It sounds like I'm in like an actual ocean. I think I saw a name. Okay. Might be my AC unit actually doing it, making that noise. I can't tell. But I really love Minecraft. Mama ba da da dum ba da ba bum. Sorry, I need to tab out real quick. Tab in. There we go. Uh oh. Wait, so PvP's on. Uh-oh. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. I'm sorry, bro, but you're buns at Among Us, bro. This guy, bro. This guy, bro. Really just call me a bat. Bro. Listen, okay? I threw that yesterday, okay? I threw yesterday. But I threw on purpose. I need a shield. Okay. Okay. Imagine you die because of drowning. Nope, not gonna happen. Someone in a cave. I think someone here. I'm scared, Chad. I'm scared. Okay, give me all my iron, please. Give me all my iron ASAP. Okay, I probably should meet up with Benetech soon. Probably waiting for me, like a silly goose he is. All right, break. Just wait. Frick. Just wait. All right. Let's just go. Let's just go. We can make another piece. We're just missing, we're literally just missing one thing, which is leggings, but we're fine. We're chilling. We have a shield. That's all that matters. I love Minecraft. Oh my god. Wait, is PvP on?
Amplified. So can we like get iron from like on the side of a mountain?
Maybe? Oh yeah, you're right.
Minitech, help! 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 Sorry,
I'm alarm going off.
Yeah, yeah, my bad. I'm asking for help. Help! Oh.
Help!
Help! Help!
Are they on the ground? Where are they?
Help!
I don't know. Bro,
oh, they're underground. They're crouching.
Well, how do you know? Well, you're cheating!
No, because I can't see your name tag, and the closer I go down, the louder you get.
Hello.
Well, I'm above you. Look up. Did you look? Okay, yeah, I actually looked.
Yes, I did. I literally did.
Jumper.
Wait. Is PvP on? Guys.
No,
we can talk
no,
about
no,
this.
no.
Anya, you have 2 minutes 15 seconds.
Oh, in that case, I can just go up then.
Hey guys.
Wait, be honest with me. Wait, be honest with me. Is PvP on?
Yes. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
No, I'm coming up and I'm gonna kill you all. I'm full diamond.
Where are you? I'm like digging. Hello.
Wait, dig down right now. I dare you.
Bro, where are you?
Wait, dig down.
Get like fall trapped or something.
Wait, dig
You get
straight
fall
down.
trapped.
Ben.
Oh, hi. Yeah,
Wait, PvP's actually off.
not
Okay.
on.
Help! Help!
Hello.
Minitech, help!
We won't kill you if you
we're
give us
good,
all of your
we're
iron.
good.
Bye.
No,
Help!
I'm kidding.
Help!
Alright, live a good life.
Oh, thank you. Help!
Of course.
Help! Help!
I don't even think fall. What is it? Fall damage is enabled.
Whisper at Minitech. Yo. Okay, there we go. Wait, where did my teammate go? Help! Help! Yo! Wait, yo, where did I go? Where did I? Oh, I think he's over there. Oh no. Mrs. Minitech. Whisper. Minitech. Meet at 00. Please. Oh, I forgot. Okay, I was scared. I hear a warden. Why do I hear a warden? Oh no, that's not good. I'm about to get clapped. I'm gonna get clapped by some crazy mob. I want to get clapped though. I love getting clapped by crazy mobs. Okay. Okay. I probably should go this way. Ben!
No way.
Wait, you're not Ben. Come. Wait, leggings! Diamond leggings! Come here! Come here! Give me your diamond leggings.
Relax.
Come here.
Relax.
Nom,
How will you
nom,
give me
nom,
your
nom.
diamond chest?
Wait, toss me your diamond leggings, and we won't have a problem. I'm being honest right here.
If
I'll
I
be-
wanted to, I couldn't.
What do you? Oh.
They're curse of binding.
Wait, come here! Then give it to me. I need your
No,
leggings.
no. Get away from me. Get away from me.
Burn.
Why-
Wait,
Help.
would you rather be dipped in barbecue sauce or ranch? There's only one right answer here. You have a Diamond
guys,
X.
what's up?
Prince Zam, or no, you're not Prince Zam. That's Panky. Bye, Panky. Sorry, bye.
Barbecue sauce.
Oh, okay, you're chilling. Okay, well, get away from me, bro.
Okay, fine.
Minitech, attack!
No, what?
I'm kidding. He's nowhere here. Brian, yo, Brian. Dude, where is this guy, bro? This guy hiding, bro? Yo. Negative 50-50. Oh my god, this guy's across the map again. I gotta make sure no one's around my surroundings. Bro's across the map, bruh. I don't have permission to do slash reply. That's not good. Uh-oh. Oh.
No, those are fake.
Jaden, why?
Why?
There's
What?
no way to like advancements turn on in the game.
Help!
I don't know what people have.
Help! Help!
Andre?
Oh, somebody's already building.
Help! Help! No, I'm not good. I need help. Where's my teammate at? Oh, Minitech, please. Yo, where is this Ben, bruh? Where's actual NPC at? Yo, Minute Ben. Bro. Yo, bro. Yo, surely NPC Ben's up here. Surely there's no one, like, muted up here, right? Surely no one's like, Ben! Oh my god, bruh. Bro.
Look, I'm building the base.
Yo, you sweat, bro. You're crazy. Dude, there is so many crazy people over there, bro. But they have diamond leggings.
I ran by Jumper's team earlier.
Yeah, same did I. Yo, so did I. I kept yelling for help. Wait, we were literally like next to each other. Wait, I have like iron stuff. There might be someone above this mountain.
Shield, really.
Here, take this. Oh, back. There's one iron. Oh.
Okay. Oh, dude, the border's right there, bro. It's shrinking on us. No, dude.
We're fine. We're chilling. Wait, how much iron do you have? Yo,
I got 2 extras.
Yo, you look a little critical right now. You little critical part.
Yeah. Wait, PvP on. Let me test it.
Yo. Okay, that's it. Yo, it's on.
It is on. Okay,
it's on.
Okay, let me continue the base.
All right, bet. You can continue that. I will get iron and get stacked. Well,
Okay.
Yeah.
Out, border's closing.
we're chilling. Just keep building in. I have like no blocks, bruh. If worst comes to worst, I can just build with wait, I have an idea. Please, just hurry up and smelt. Oh no. Oh my god. Okay. Yes.
Dude, look down there. This kid has diamonds.
I know, he has leggings. He found a warden thing.
What the fuck? Dude, these guys are Pentar fell from a high place. No way.
Wait. Well, I think thing is still on, no? The
He can respawn until like these 50 seconds are up.
Wait, keep going 0-0 then. Keep going like mid.
Yeah. Am I heading towards 0-0?
Wait, look, there's someone.
I think
Yo.
What happened? They coming up?
They want to. One person.
Do you have dripstone or something?
I do not know.
I have gravel. I could drop it on them if they try to dig up, like, or if they try to go
Oh,
up.
I
one
do
by
too.
one.
Yeah, same. Wait, how close are we to 0-0? Are we like at 0-0 pretty much?
We're like
30.
20 blocks away.
Yo, there's someone up there though. Hopefully this tree grows faster. Wait, do you have any dirt?
Oh, hello?
Yo, you have any dirt?
I got 4.
That'll do.
Okay, we're basically at 0-0.
Okay.
Lava or not? Okay, the void's rising now. Dude, why are they actually building up like that? What the?
Wait, how? Wait. Okay. Well, everyone just.
You have a
okay.
water bucket, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna start digging, going up. So you should probably like follow.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, so it's gonna be a little scuffed.
Okay. I need to do like something like this then. Oh, that's not good then.
Yeah.
No, I actually can't do that.
I can let water down actually when I'm done.
Okay, bet. Let's do that instead of like. Bet. Oh yeah, I don't want to push. I mean, whatever.
Wait, I can already see the void. What?
Wait, where?
I
What?
already see the void.
Yo, if you had string, that'd be crazy right now. A crazy play could happen.
Yeah, nah, bows would be insane on this if someone got any. Hello?
I can't hear you anymore.
Oh my god, I almost just jumped off an accident.
Okay, I can hear you now. Yo, jumping off an accident would be crazy right now.
Hello?
Yeah, I have no blocks, bro. I want to use my blocks right now. Wait, I can. Wait. I mean, no. Wait, surely Ben put some water down for me. Wait. Place water, place water, place water, place water, place water, place water, place water. Wait. Wait, no way. Wait.
It's gonna help us so much. Maybe, okay, Johars, hear me out. Okay. Team up with those people right there, because they obviously have a lot more blocks. You're stream sniping me. Really?
Hi.
Really?
I gotta go. Bye. Yo, block it up. Block it up. Well, actually, don't block it up yet. Okay, well, this guy, dude, holy, bro, what actual sky limit?
Bro, I went to 300. Dude, let's build a bunker.
Yo, HCF, all right.
Yeah, dude, we got a base. We got a base to make. I still like
Yo.
a lot of blocks.
I have like 0 blocks, but you know, it's all good. I almost killed someone. Wait, do you have any more dirt? I doubt it, huh?
Nah, I only have cobblestone, gravel, and leaves.
Wait.
Yeah,
I'm gonna try something. No, how do you make it?
I don't know how good of a position. Oh, you made a whole table?
Oh
You made
yeah.
a whole
Game night. Wait.
Okay.
Oh no. I can't put the top on the table.
Oh, what are you doing?
It's close enough.
Ooh. Wait, this will work. Now that's unfortunate.
Come on.
What are you trying right now?
Bro. Is this like a 1 block?
Uh,
Tightly is this gonna close? Cause it's
we need one piece of
a
dirt.
lot tighter than I thought it'd be.
Yeah, I don't know. We could kill for it, but like,
No, that's what I'm thinking.
I don't really know.
I don't know.
It's a strategy. It's a strategy.
Wait,
We
yeah,
got an OP base going on.
Yeah, we actually have a crazy base going on.
I made one first. It's just I can't be in there anymore. See, it's down there.
I can't see it.
Dude, if we had a string, it'd be crazy. Hmm.
It's hard.
All right, I might pull a play. I don't know yet.
Yeah, pull something crazy and you go crazy.
Don't break my.
Yes.
He died, but he respawned.
Wait,
Pento!
wait. Make sure you have this next to you so we can.
Nah.
Oh, I don't have any of those. Let me make one. Oh, Radoon's got killed. What?
GG.
Like the biggest star in the game just got killed. That's crazy.
I'm safe.
Also this too because.
Yeah, I can hear you. Hi.
Yeah.
You made it.
Okay.
Oh wait, do you have one of these?
Ah, dang it, I don't have one. I don't have a welcome back.
Oh, I do not know.
Okay, because yeah, that'll
seem
like
to be
destroy
having
people.
Fun, you know? Towering
Yeah,
up.
lots of it.
Mhm. Are you happy I
Making
towered
it.
with dirt? It makes your life
Yes,
a lot
thank you
easier.
very much. I appreciate
Anytime,
it.
bro. Enjoy the table I built, but I'm too scared to live at anymore. 'Cause
Oh,
I don't trust anyone. Yeah.
oh, okay.
Enjoy
That's
it.
fair.
You can play like Monopoly or Risk on it.
Alone.
Oh
I'll
wait, I
play
see people at the
Monopoly
bottom of our
alone.
thing.
I'm sorry,
Alone, yeah.
I'm in a bridge.
Wait, I do. Yeah, you're right. There's a lot of
Okay.
people down there.
Are they fighting?
Wait,
No,
are
that's
they
a big team. That's a big team.
Yo!
Dark Hills is coming over.
Wait,
It's
what?
like a ch-
Oh, hey,
Yeah.
hey, no, we're good, we're good, we're good,
Oh.
we're good, right? We're good, we're good, we're good, we're good,
Yeah,
we're
let them
good,
duke that
right?
out.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Hey,
You're right.
Shark Hills.
Shark Hills,
I just
hey.
want
nice
to
to
know.
meet you.
I don't regret voting for Penguin when it happens.
Yeah, no, you can take it. You can
Don't
take
regret
it.
it.
Yo,
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
post me. Yo,
Better-
bro got ops on himself, bruh.
Expand bases, you know.
Jump. Make the jump.
We should make like a. Wait, we should make a super team.
Do you have
You know?
food or anything,
You
please?
got- you got-
I've
You
nothing.
food? Okay, guys. Yeah, no, we can team. We can team.
We can make a super team, guys.
Super team.
Super team.
I
Yo,
was joking about the
yo,
Penguin
yo,
earlier.
hey, yo,
Hello?
hey, yo, yo,
Hey,
yo.
Oh, hey, yo.
Yo, what's happening over there?
Team?
Team?
Are you guys trying to form a team?
Yeah, big team, big
Yeah, we're trying
team.
to form a team.
Look down there. There's
We
like a
have the
team of
biggest
8
team.
down there. We need to actually team
Yeah,
up.
yeah, like
Oh, that's
literally,
true.
it's like 17 of them that, yeah.
Okay.
I like that idea. Does anyone have any like weapon I can have?
Oh,
Yeah, here,
yes.
I got you a stone shovel. There you
Oh,
go.
thank you guys. Thank you for
Who
your
did
kind
access to the
donation.
stone shovel?
Well, guess
Okay,
what?
guys,
I also have a stone
I have
shovel.
one.
Oh, I have 2 stone.
I have
don't
6
forget
stacks
my
of
stone
dirt.
shovel.
I have 6 stacks of dirt. It might come in handy.
Wait, how did you
Yo.
get 6 stacks of dirt?
I spent.
All right, can I come up there?
the
Yo,
first
yo,
5
can you
minutes just
bridge to us?
mining.
We have like no
No,
blocks.
I
Like,
spent the first 10 minutes.
Yeah,
Yo,
but-
can we come up there?
Yeah.
sure.
I'm actually about to get enough.
Okay, okay. Do you guys have like water you can let down?
Yeah.
No.
oh,
I
actually,
don't.
ooh, wait, I hear someone. Wait, am I tripping?
We're all friendly up here,
Do you have
right?
any iron for
Yeah,
shield?
yeah,
Do
which-
you guys have
wait, which-
water or
I
something
don't.
to get us up
There
there?
you
Oh,
go.
thank you, thank
Oh
you.
my
thank you.
god,
Okay.
actual W, actual W.
My
W Shark
table.
Hills.
All right.
I'm moving it up here.
Oh, okay.
All right, thank
Oh
you,
my
thank
God.
you, thank you.
I need it. Oh, this is the build height. Oh,
Hey guys, hey guys, hey
Hey,
guys.
You
Friendly,
guys.
friendly, friendly.
Oh my
Friendly.
Hi.
I am very friendly.
Okay, wait. So
Um,
how,
So
how much
like,
blocks
should we
does
expand the
everyone
base or
here have?
what?
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
just
sure.
take these. Hey, hey, hey.
No, I'm saying like I'm looking. Yo,
Uh,
Oh,
God.
we're
We have the
actually at full
advantage.
build
We're
height.
like
we're
the highest people
actually
up right now.
we're actually crazy.
are.
Yo, do we all have
Should we,
like
like-
a common enemy? So like we have something
Oh,
like
everyone
let's
below
go
us.
for
Yes.
Zam.
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Our morals are
Zam
just,
seems
just
like a good enemy.
cause he made this event, he has to die.
He does.
You guys have like. So you guys have like no armor?
Yeah,
I have no
Um,
armor, but I have so many
Nah.
blocks.
Yeah,
Mm,
same. That was my goal. You know.
On a scale
Yeah.
to 10, how many blocks
I
you
have
have?
no armor, no blocks.
On a
I've
scale of
got
1 to
Wait.
10, how many blocks? Yeah, what is
Yo.
this? Oh, you have a sapling. Wait,
Oh
that's
wait,
huge.
actual W,
Wait.
actual W.
Anyone
Oh,
have
wait, I
blood?
have bone
That's
meal, I have
not.
bone
It
meal, I have
needs to
bone
be
meal.
down and build them.
Yeah, we'd
It
have to
needs
go
be-
back down to
Oh.
place for
Oh.
to do it.
I mean, I also got bone meal.
Well, wait. Wait,
Oh,
no.
you both
You could
do
do
it.
it.
We both got
Wait, you
bone
can do
meal.
that here, right?
Wait,
could
does
technically-
one,
No,
does one of
because
you?
it needs to grow. It
No.
needs
No, yeah, if
build
you bridge
limit to
down.
grow.
Well, no.
no,
Look,
Please,
see?
we can do
Oh!
water.
Some dirt.
Just
Yeah.
use water. Just use
shoot.
water.
Oh wait, yeah, we have water.
Wait, don't place
Dang.
water down.
Pentar.
Just
Oh,
build.
wait,
Just build.
yeah,
Just build.
wait, watch out.
Oh
People
yeah,
could
no,
come up.
take the water. Take the
Oh.
water.
Okay.
Oh, there's a
people-
team
there's
down there.
people right
Wait.
below
Wait,
us on
wait,
this
there's a team
tower.
down
Look, there's a team right below us. It's
Oh wait,
Wait,
that
really?
force
Oh
feet?
shoot. We just
Minute,
gave
you're
him
good with the
some.
bow, right?
Oh, thank you, thank you.
Wait, actual W.
It's
Wait, Minute, you're
14.
done.
We
Look
get
at
them,
bow.
Do
we
we
get
trust them?
Does anyone have any access?
Be careful. There's only 2 arrows, so.
Oh no.
Can I
Oh
get
my!
this guy?
I am stacked. I have 2 wooden axes and 2 stone shovels.
Oh.
Why did
Oh.
4 people? Oh, the void.
The void,
I'm
the
guessing
void,
The
jumped
void
them.
rises
Yeah.
like every 4 seconds.
Okay, I hit someone, but they didn't die.
Okay.
Wait, they're getting shot, guys. They're getting shot.
They have water. They're coming
Guys,
up. They're coming
if
up.
they
They have water.
try
they have water.
anything funny, it was good knowing you guys.
No, they have no armor. We're chilling.
Jumper who? We're
I don't
friends,
either.
right?
Guys, we
Wait.
make a decision now. Do we
Oh,
team up?
Woogie. Nah, you tried to jump more than me. I'm sorry. No, we're not friends.
I'll stop. I'm only
Does anyone else have arrows?
I'll stop now.
No.
I don't know.
We need more layers of blocks because it just takes
Oh.
one little sweep
Yeah,
and we're all dead.
that's so true.
Yo,
Wait,
yo.
wait. Everybody get off the leaves. Get off the leaves.
Yeah, get on the wood. Get on the wood. Get on the wood.
Oh yeah, turn them into slabs.
Synoptics just subscribe.
Or wait.
Hey,
Wait.
non-Prince
I have some
Sam's
cobble.
full
Wouldn't
prayer.
cobble be better?
Do you have enough cobble to turn into slabs?
I have enough. Yeah.
Does anyone have any
Okay,
like
here,
extra
here.
blocks I can have?
Crafting table right here. Oh,
Not
sorry.
really.
Yeah, I got you here.
We have a bit of time.
So I
I
got.
have like enough for like
thank
12
you,
slabs.
thank you.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Wait,
Now I'm
watch out over there.
confident.
Watch, someone's coming up.
Yo, yo, yo.
Who is it?
Oh,
Is that
oh.
Jaden?
Jaden.
The guy with the diamond.
Jaden.
Actually, wait, no. Jaden has like a diamond axe. That's actually.
I don't know about all that. I don't know about
Is he
all that.
friendly? Is he friendly?
No, Jaden's
No.
friendly.
Jaden's
Jaden.
cool. Jaden's cool. Jaden's cool.
He has diamond pants. Oh my god, this kid actually.
Just like
Yo, Jaden. Hi.
Help!
This
Help!
can't be. You can't just go to screaming help.
Wait. Okay.
Yo, look. We all just killed this guy with the diamond
Wait,
leggings.
Jaden,
We
you have
all just
diamond
split gear.
Bro,
leggings?
that's
We all
Jaden.
split one piece of diamond of the pants.
Is Jaden actually
All
chill?
one piece.
Yeah, Jaden's chill.
Are you sure
Jaden,
about
you're
that?
chill, right?
You guys have extra stuff by any chance?
What?
Oh, Bo, I was thinking.
Yo, there's another person with Jaden though. I don't know about all that now. That's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people. I'm
Yo,
not gonna lie.
Jaden. You choose, man. We get you, or we get you. We don't get you at all. That's it.
Do you really want to die this early in the event, though? Let's be honest here.
Yeah, Jaden.
also likes barbecue sauce.
I love barbecue sauce.
You either kill your team right now or kill you.
Hey, how about you just stay over there? Just stay over there.
Happy distance.
It's okay. It's
Oh,
okay.
Sharkos
you can
likes
do it.
going over. Okay, Sharkos. Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
I have a meeting with the dean of my college at 4. You kind of do me a favor.
Where?
Oh.
Whoa.
Okay, guys. Chafoy is an easy target.
4 seasons.
Chafoy has to
still
leave
trying
in
to do some
13
sneaky
minutes
stuff below
anyways.
us.
I
Yeah,
think.
no.
Yeah, I'm
They're at your
watching
old
them.
tower. They're at your old tower.
No.
We
have the
can hear
Bosa? You have the
you.
Bosa?
All right, guys.
They're
It's
like
tax.
one-
Yo, everyone.
If you
It's
don't
tax
tell me,
season.
they'll
Give me
tell me. They
blocks.
won't let you go
I need
with
block. This
I-
tax season.
Oh, remember
There
the
you
one
go.
you gave me?
There's
No
not
way.
a
Okay.
lot of options here.
But this is
Okay,
actually
okay,
really
that's
good. Thank you for that 64 dirt. It's actually really good. Does it have gold?
Yeah.
We're actually
How do we have
see.
gold?
I don't know how high
Oh.
the standards are. I honestly kind of remember.
All right, rush him now. Go.
Whoa.
I'm playing.
Yo!
Okay.
I don't know. I'm getting really impatient right now. I kind of.
Dude, they're at our little base thing we were just at.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Does anybody have arrows?
Not anymore.
No.
We wasted all of them.
Ooh.
GG's.
Now that's unfortunate.
What the?
What?
What?
What happened to your microphone?
Again?
Now that's unfortunate.
Yo.
Guys.
Yeah.
What the? Yo!
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 One second.
They really is.
What the?
They have nothing.
So,
What happened?
I'll be honest with y'all.
Guys, maybe we should like.
This is not looking the
Guys,
best for us. Maybe we shorten
We
the
should like
platform.
lessen the bridge. Make it shorter. Make it shorter.
Yeah. Oh.
Wait, does anybody?
I don't feel confident fighting with my
Wait,
current.
no, don't join the platform. Don't join the platform.
We have to have food. And we can
Bro.
So Sam's directly behind us.
Guys,
This is.
Thanks.
My decision.
What?
Look down here. We can recruit them.
Thank you.
Sam?
Thank you.
Sam,
I
you
tried
chill?
hard.
Yes or no?
You chill?
Hey, wait.
Do you like melons?
No.
Hey.
No.
Great. Just give us a bit.
I'm just looking. I'm just looking.
Wait, is it, yo?
I have a
There's someone below us. Someone below us.
Right below?
Oh, over there.
Wait, where should we be looking?
That way. I don't know what, like north
I
of
don't like
us.
the way you're looking at me.
You see them? Or am I tripping?
Wait, do you guys see? What are you talking
Wait,
about? You guys see
north.
something?
Jumper over there.
Where?
Do you see, bruh? We're.
Oh, I see him.
I see
With
him,
the
I see
water?
I know you're on a
Like
laptop.
directly
wait,
down.
Still.
Wait, we should legalize nuclear bombs.
Whoa.
What's going on? What's going on?
I don't know if you noticed, but you.
Wait.
over.
Come this way, come this way, come this way.
Yes. Yo, killing is fun. Yo, killing is fun. This way.
We're actually murderers.
Wait, who has water? Hold on, wait. I can use this water.
Yo.
I mean, I'm not sure it's okay, but I'll live with it.
No, not yet. That's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people, yeah.
Hi, Andres.
Yo, I hear someone. Wait. Yo, wait, someone.
I'm not here to kill. I'm not here to kill. Okay.
Yo. Wait.
Okay.
Oh, bad.
Just leave me be. I'm a.
Yo, what's he doing here again?
Circles, watch out!
Wait a minute.
Yo, bro,
That's crazy.
They're living.
Okay, stop. I hate you. I hate you so much. I hate you.
That's crazy. Wait, does Sharkles live? You know when he lived that fall?
What?
Hey.
Minute, you wouldn't hurt me, right? Minute, right?
Hey.
That grapple wasn't very
We
promising.
got
I'll be honest.
voidable. We got you.
I don't know if I should trust this or
No,
not.
it's fine. We got you. There you go.
Oh, thanks, Andres.
Legalize nuclear bombs.
Void.
Oh God! Yo,
I almost you off.
I really need the smell in the
Yo.
girl.
Okay.
All right, cool. We're chilling.
Guys.
Yo, we're actually insane.
We're actually crazy.
We got it. Hold on.
What the fuck is this? What the fuck is this?
Yo. Chat. What's happening, chat? Yo, chat. What's happening, chat?
Stop being weird. Stop being weird.
Yo, chat. Yo.
Killing a lot of people.
You're being
Yo.
weird.
I can't tell if we're
Yo, listen. How about y'all just join us? You ever think about that? Huh? Y'all join
I don't know
us.
about that.
Yo. Just join us.
Back up.
Nope.
I don't know where to go. I love you so much. No, here's regen.
Burn.
Oh my God! Wait. The clutch.
We chill. No, I'm not doing anything. I'm not doing anything.
What do you come with?
Yeah.
Okay,
stick together.
Okay, they're stacked.
They actually.
How do you get insurance?
I found Swift Sneak, bro.
Oh, you did? Dang.
Yeah, I found like what's it called? Thingy.
The thing. Yo, Zam.
I don't know what I'm saying.
We have tax around here.
I'm just saying
We need some blocks.
Yeah, we need
Let's
some.
take a diamond.
Okay.
Thank you. I'll work with you guys. Yeah, I'll gladly work with you guys. Fuck yeah, let's go.
Bet.
Hell yeah, no, let's go. Yeah. No, let's go. I got a bunch of sticks.
What about your helmet though for tax?
Wait.
Dog, I'm not gonna
Come on now. You know,
I don't have any extra iron. I'm out of iron. We can get more though. I know to get more.
Oh my god.
That was crazy.
Who has some of the water?
Thank you.
I'm feeding for kills
How
right
many there
now.
are over there?
Move here. I don't want
Look
to
at them.
Any string.
Fiend.
Fiend. Okay, I'm sorry.
We'll use this.
Bro, I'm so fucking worried, bro. Like, what if we're gonna get jumped right now?
Above us.
Dog, there's no one who will jump you in it.
There is no above.
I know.
Fuck.
Look how many of them there are though. Yo, look at them, like little rats. Little rats over there.
Yeah, I see him.
Little.
Does that not work?
My
Hello.
bad.
I've got a.
Hold on.
We have a connection.
Whoa.
Wait,
Fiend.
Close.
Dude, there's too many people, not enough killing.
I
Do
know.
something.
One of them needs to betray each other. One of them needs to betray each other.
Wait, Sam. Someone said he had a minecart. Why don't you drop it on the team over
I
there?
already used it. I already used it. I killed like 4 people.
What? Oh my god.
that's what got that
Oh
kill?
my god.
Yeah.
Someone drop water, please.
Wait, the void's right
Oh wait,
here.
they're right there. Yo, they all just fell. Yo, they all just
I don't see the
fell.
void. Help!
Oh my
Help! I don't see the
Look
void.
below us. Look below us. Look below us. Look below us.
Dude, the
Right
void's
there.
right here, bro. Okay.
Does anybody have
No, you see what those leaves are? You see what those leaves are?
Oh, what's this? What's this?
Alright.
Whoa. Clear comms. What is
Make
that?
infinite water source. Make infinite water source. Make an infinite water source.
This is the limit.
Right here, right here.
Just go.
Does anybody
Go,
have
go,
right here.
planks that I could use?
Make infinite water source. Quick.
Wait, where's the? I don't see the
Wait,
map.
no.
Shit.
Get some water pouring. Get some water pouring.
That is.
Here we go.
I am so confused. I am so confused.
Make an infinite water thing.
Oh no.
What they did.
Oh my
Yo.
god.
Yeah, hello.
Oh my god.
it.
It was.
Oh. It's
Wait, what-
over.
Oh, the void's here. The void's here, guys.
Yeah, it's here. It's here. It's
What?
No!
Wait,
how
wait,
do we
chill
vote
then.
now?
I don't know.
Uh,
There's blocks. Wait, there's blocks down there somehow. Wait.
well, I think
It's
you
got
know we're
really
just gonna.
Yeah, there's
what-
blocks
what-
down there.
I'll go on this
Oh,
one.
do
you
they
stay
like
on that
place
one.
them again?
What
What?
did you hear?
I don't see the
I
void,
see
bro.
blocks down there.
Our water's not going
No, I see blocks down there. Look, look,
Yeah,
directly
their
below,
water's
directly
not going
below,
down
directly
either. So
below.
this is kind of.
Who is that?
Oh, wow!
Yeah,
There's so
Um,
many people.
Hmm.
Oh my god.
Hey, Durap. Hey guys, we're all gonna
Why
have
is
to
this
chill
water going
together
away?
in these two little things
Wait,
of water.
are they just not going away? Are the waters just not going away?
Water is not going
It's
away,
not.
chat.
No, I think they just.
Okay, I'm
God.
going down. Fuck this.
Okay, I think
I'll be honest with you. I think we just stay up here. We're just doing it now.
Yeah,
Actually, wait, this-
Dude, look at that team right there, bro.
Yo, yo,
No,
five. Don't,
what
yo,
is
yo.
that?
How are they placing blocks? What?
What?
we gotta go
They've
there.
got
then.
blocks
I don't see.
down
Dude,
there.
am I dumb? I don't see the void.
Yeah, guys. Oh my god.
Oh, I see the void now.
Oh my
Actually, no, I
god.
don't. How big? Oh yeah, how?
Oh my god. Oh my god.
What's your render distance
Literally
at?
everything is void now.
How are they placing blocks? I don't know how they're placing blocks, babe.
I'm so confused. What?
We have to get to those blocks
I don't
there.
know if we
Fuck,
can
how
go
do we
in
do
that.
that?
I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if that's possible.
Okay, okay, they're making.
The last for you.
Yeah, we just stall, I guess, and then we clean.
I bet.
We gotta boost somebody.
They need to build to us. We need to get them to build to
I got
us.
a piece so bad. I'm not gonna lie. Yo,
Dude, wait, just go right now while you're just playing.
yeah, we're back. Yo,
No, I know.
Yo.
here, just put some hats real quick.
I just
What did your
don't
raptor just
know.
do? Oh,
Jumper, you
Wait.
first, you
But where are they gonna go from there?
Wait, low
That
key.
water is
trolling.
going down.
Wait, they're
Why
trolling.
did they
Yeah.
jump in
Wait,
there?
there's a
That
full down right
water
here.
is going down.
Not
Wait, 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 wait.
Oh, wait, that's Forcey.
Wait, we just
You guys having a
wait.
good water party?
No, it's not. Okay.
Horsey!
Wait.
They're stacked.
Push me.
No.
Horsey, watch out. They're
what
they're
is
not
your
nice.
attitude, dude?
Wait, actually,
Wait. Actually?
you can?
Yeah.
Horsey, can you
Alright.
get them to build
One.
to us?
Why are you trying to?
Oh my god, Forcey, watch out! Watch out!
Forcey,
Look at boy. Hey guys.
Oh my
He's going down,
God.
he's going down, he's
Hi.
going down.
What did you say?
Binaga lives?
No.
Wait,
Who's
wait.
that?
$5. You guys knock off Jaden
that?
right now.
No, what?
We can't
10.
do that.
That's $5 is not that much.
You give me $5.
Yo.
You know. Yeah, actually, honestly, W boost.
Yo, ain't no way there's not a traitor in that whole team right there. Look how
Yeah,
many
there-
people there are.
Wait.
No, we're all friends
There's
here.
definitely a traitor in that. One of you guys
Yo.
is definitely gonna betray.
Yo. Jumper who
It
just
would
messaged
never
me.
happen.
Team on. Oh, okay, bet. I got you, Jumper.
Okay, we got you, we got you.
We got you, we got you, we got you.
Oh,
Yeah, literally. Oh, okay.
Alright, guys. What's the plan?
Wait, there's
Team
someone
on the
coming up.
diamond guy?
I don't
Okay, I got you, I got you.
Yeah, we got you, we got you, we got you.
I'm gonna be real, the water here.
Oh, there's a big fight happening.
Oh wait, that's like running out. Ooh,
Clean that?
okay.
Somebody build to us. How do
Nah,
we
I think it might just both kill each other.
We might be able to get
We
on
gotta
it.
get to those people.
the only we have to
Yeah,
jump
can
to
we-
that
can we
water.
get
There's
that?
if we
That's
stay
not
here, we're gonna die to the
possible.
border.
We can get to
It's
that. We can get to
easily
that.
possible.
The oh shoot.
Wait, is the border closing?
The border's closing.
Yeah, the borders. We have to go. We have
Oh
to
shit,
jump
I didn't think about the border a minute.
from
Oh,
the
right.
top.
Oh, is the border
Okay.
actually moving in? No way.
Wait, we're
Everybody
fine though. We're fine. I
everybody
think they're
move.
just more stuck.
I can get one
We're chilling.
person in
It's
my
your
boat.
thing.
Yeah, they have to
Wait,
first.
One person at a time.
Wait, everybody move.
No,
okay,
everyone at the
wait,
same
I need to
time.
get on
3,
this
2, 1, jump.
Oh my
3,
God.
2, 1, go.
Just
Okay, get off the top of this water.
I jumped. Go, guys, go. I jumped.
Wait,
Yeah, I
move
jumped.
up.
Yo, yo.
No, that one. Move up that one.
Yo,
Yo, I gotta go pee so bad, dude.
Oh, wow, that's
Yo.
smart.
bro's the piss monster. What? They're boating. They're
Wait,
trolling.
wait,
Alright,
Oh!
What?
Wait, why are they doing that?
Wait.
Oh.
wait, someone just died. Wait, that guy was
There's no
actually
way.
trolling.
Wait, that whole
I'll
platform
get-
below
I'll
us
get
is
in
like
yours.
open.
I'll get in yours.
Which one?
Sam, you gotta get down. Gotta get
The one
down.
that's like right below us.
Get down, get down.
Like that. You see the deep slate?
Yeah, I see that.
That's like
Oh,
free game right now.
You take it now?
Okay.
When there's
Oh,
someone there,
Jumper's
there's someone
okay.
there. Okay, well.
people at the
Well,
top.
we think we take it now, right?
I don't have a boat.
Not all of
We
them.
have to try
You
to
probably take Jumper.
There's nothing else we can
Probably
do.
could, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, let's go
We
scout.
gotta hurry, okay?
I'm trying.
Place the damn boats.
I can't place it.
Wait, deep slate's free.
Nobody
up here at
Okay.
the moment. So,
Oh my god.
so who are you running from? What happened? Also, I'm not recording. so this is awkward.
Well, no. Oh my god.
Hey, Jumper. Okay.
Hey, Jumper.
Jumper's deep.
Hey,
Jumper's
Jumper,
deep.
we meet again. We meet again. We meet again.
No.
Wait, there's someone above the water. Wait, minute, come back up here.
Guys.
Here, here. Oh, is that Jumper?
Wait.
Look over here.
Where'd you go? Oh, I see you. Oh, they're like taking our thing.
Let me just do this.
Wait, they're trying to. Yo, okay, be careful. They're trying to come to us, I think.
Just build a platform here.
Here, I'm gonna actually extend it this way.
Okay, bet. Oh yeah, do that. Kind of kill the hill right now. There, yeah. This is gonna be really sussy for them. Wait, we just disconnect this platform here.
Yeah, I'm making a new platform right here just in case.
Okay.
Yo.
But they can still build a deep slate. Aww. Hmm.
Oh, I'm like right on 0-0.
Do
Oh,
I
you
look
are?
Like I'd have a TNT minecart?
Yeah, I'm like based
Yo!
on 0-0.
Hey,
Yo, what's up?
I thought we were chilling,
Sam
man.
back?
Yo, I thought we were chilling, Zan.
Wait, who is this? Who am I listening to?
Delilah died. I am actually Simon is the
Andres?
best. No,
Yo,
I'm.
Andres, I killed like 3 people. Andres, I just killed like 3 people, bro. Oh my,
you got
I'm
loot for
going
us?
crazy.
Yeah, you got loot for it.
No,
You
I
got-
don't have, no, I threw them all into the void. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
I can't
Where
get
are you
it,
guys?
No!
Oh, you guys are over there. Oh, hey, what's up?
Yeah, well.
I'm not done though. I'm still thirsty.
Bro's thirst man.
I'm actually the thirst man.
Try and knock someone off and
Heads up!
Oh, what's up, Jiffoy?
Oh, bye.
Oh,
Oh,
okay,
unlucky.
wow.
Unlucky.
Thank you for the warning. I did not see that coming.
There's a lot of people above you, by the way, Mr. Sam.
Really?
Yeah. The team above
Yeah.
these are
It's just
ops.
running.
Yeah.
It's just
they're-
running.
Oh, okay.
Yo, running be chill, right?
Okay, this guy's literally teaming with everyone, bro.
Yeah, this guy's actually the cross teamer. We're gonna have to take care of him at one point.
True. We take care of him next time he comes with us.
Oh, he's getting 3v1.
Oh.
Yo, gang's on me. Help.
Yo, come here. Get over here.
Oh,
Big platform.
well,
Never mind.
never mind. We
And all of his loot just fell into Forsey.
Okay.
He had cobwebs? This guy's sweating.
This guy's sweating. It's crazy. I'm not gonna lie right now. No. We gotta just wait. We just wait for them to come to us. Literally, we're at 0-0.
Yeah.
We just win if we just camp this right here, right? Where's 0-0? What's 0-0 block?
Surely. It's like right over.
This block right here. Wait, where is it? Oh,
It's
it's
right
like
here.
this block right here. Look, right here. This is 0-0, right?
Yeah. How many building blocks you got?
I got like 42 slabs.
Okay, here, take an extra stack of leaves.
I bet. Yo. I hear someone. Yo,
Oh,
yeah.
nah.
Grayson
Oh,
minutes.
nah.
Yo, yo.
No, it's the diamond guy again.
Nice little platform you got there.
Hey, Forsey Vit.
I like your little platform. I like the tree.
Yo,
Quite in the
Forsey.
Thank you.
Yo, Forsey, you can join us if you kill Bitsquid right now.
Hey, we'll see. We'll chill, right?
Forsey, think about it.
Think about it. Think about
Think
it.
about it. Two full.
Wait, but we could be your
Iron
friends.
Men.
We could be your
Hey,
friends.
I would never betray Bitsquid. I met him from the beginning, alright? We've been in it together. I saved his life. He saved my
Wait,
life.
Bitsquid just messaged me. I'm gonna kill Forsey.
Yo,
Nah.
No way.
Kill Forsey with me. Yo, okay, all right, I bet. I got you, Bitsquid.
Okay, we got you.
All right,
Wait,
Forsey.
who just
Yo,
fell
who
on
just
his-
fell? That's crazy.
Yo,
Did someone just fall?
Yo, both of you guys, be careful. How'd you look? Okay. Yo, kill Jaden, bruh. Like, for real.
wait, Forsey and Bitsquid just messaged me. I'm gonna kill Jaden. Nah. Oh, no, they're too far now. Damn.
That's crazy. It's fine. We just win this by default. Wait. I don't know.
Yeah, that does something. Yo,
Bro.
Just
I was like,
I'm
wait.
gonna come back. You guys are gonna get it once I get back down there. You guys.
Yo.
All right. Zam said, win it for my block clutch.
Yo, can we do something about that big team over there?
Yeah. Can we like sponge that real quick? Yo, sponge that, bruh. Someone sponge that. Wait, where's the void at? Oh, no, that person is gonzoed.
Okay.
Where's the void at?
It's just everywhere.
Oh. So it's, okay, I see now.
Dude, that is actually a team of 7. Someone's gotta sponge that water source. There's no way.
They're coming down. Wait, that's actually scary. Oh, we don't
But
have
no,
like,
we can
if we had
expand.
string, that'd be crazy. We want to just take. Yo, that's insane, bro. That's actually crazy. That's a big
There's
team.
no way!
I told you.
Wait, be careful.
Yeah, you guys betrayed.
No, you betrayed us.
That's actually not true.
It's everyone against
You guys jumped us first. That's what happened. That's what I remember.
No.
Andres, get up. Andres, get up.
Yo.
Just gonna stay in the water?
What?
Yo!
No.
Never mind. Okay.
Don't stand on the grass.
This is my
Forsey, no! Forsey, no!
He's not
Forsey, pull the trap.
I know.
Oh no, Forsey.
You really just want me
my
to jump
God.
them from behind?
Oh!
What's a bow?
Yo, get him!
I have two.
Yeah.
I have a bow. I don't have arrow.
Someone just said I have two. We heard that.
You have arrow?
Yeah. So W leak.
Don't miss.
Nah, if we win this, you guys all have to fucking delete Minecraft.
Yo,
They have their shields up.
starting with running.
Oh, what? Don't do that.
You're running. Okay.
Oh, thanks for the arrow.
What?
Oh,
What was that? Why is there skull sensor?
Someone just threw an egg.
Alright,
That's so
you
mean.
just
That's
gave
crazy.
them an arrow.
Hey, we have an arrow now. You should probably leave.
On an unrelated note.
Wait, does anybody have one iron?
Oh no, I know what
I
they're
do.
thinking. I know what they're
I
thinking.
do.
I know what they're
Let me
thinking.
What? How is
Luckily we got
Buffalo
this.
still here, bro?
Tree.
Wait, who needs to one?
You guys understand? Like, once you kill us, you guys have to kill each other. Like, do you guys understand that?
Oh my
like
God.
surely you guys are killing each other now, right? Like surely Jaden just like goes crazy right now, right?
Uh-huh.
I couldn't. Maybe only on Puffball.
Yo, look at
Like,
that.
you guys understand? Jaden has god apples in his inventory, right?
Like this guy actually got god apples and everything.
Like he will win. Like you won't get fame and glory if you let Jaden win.
Who wants
Don't look
more
at me.
one?
Don't look at me like that, guys. Whoa.
Oh!
Tree.
Wait, Jaden just messaged me. I'm gonna betray my team. Nah,
Yeah,
you're insane.
But we've done that for like the past like 30 minutes.
Dude, nah, they'll believe it one time eventually.
At one time they'll get it.
No.
Wait, Zam just messaged me saying, "Wait, Zam's dead." Fuck.
Wait.
Wait, what are y'all doing, bruh? There's a border, bruh.
No, we did.
You just wasted one arrow.
Watch out, guys.
Guys, we gotta use our strategy brain.
Hold on.
Strategy brain.
Boys, we have to use our strategy brain. Oh.
No,
Alright, good
you're
luck.
letting
Whoa, what are you
fire.
All right, good luck. All right, good luck. Oh my God, yes, yes,
Is it-
yes, yes, yes.
Yes, it's still burning. It's still burning. They have to jump off. They have to jump off. They have to jump off.
Is
It's burning.
I don't
Shoot,
think-
they didn't believe that.
Burning the stone. All right.
All right, Andres,
you're on your
watch
own.
out behind you. Watch out behind you. I gotta escape route.
Oh
Oh my
yes.
God.
Oh, that arrow. Oh, they have an arrow now.
Here.
Again? You keep
What is it?
Oh, thank you.
got
Thank you.
this.
You shouldn't just stand on it, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah,
We
yeah.
got this.
So what's our plan here? Oh, you
I'm
give
running
it to
low on
me?
blocks.
Dude, I don't trust myself.
Me too.
Okay.
Can you guys just jump?
Yo,
Can you guys fight each other?
yo, can y'all fight each other? Like
No.
what?
Okay, but you guys fight each other first.
What?
Wait, whoa,
And
whoa,
then-
I don't know all that now.
What's the
Wait, you-
scam?
Wait, you do it first
Do you
and we
have any
follow.
blocks?
Thoughts?
Do you have any
No, no,
blocks?
you
I
do
do,
it
I
first.
do.
No, like I listen. Minutech stinks. All right, listen. I would fight
No,
him
I
like right now if I wanted
promise,
to.
I promise we'll do it good. If you do it first.
Well, we promised too, but you gotta go first.
Yo, Zam, spawn a ghast.
Yo, yeah, spawn something. Spawn a
That'd be
dragon.
awesome.
Spawn a dragon. Oh my God, we just got
what?
voted
Where
again.
did that arrow from?
Who's
Oh my
just voted
God.
us again?
Yo, you see this?
No.
We got ops, bro.
Horsey's going for the kill, bro.
What is this staircase? What the fuck?
No.
Yo, don't jump, bro. Don't jump. It's real. Yo, that would have been smart, bro,
I
if you
think we need
jumped.
to jump. I think we need to
I
jump.
think if we both jump at the same time,
We could win.
we'll die.
Hey,
He's
guys.
got a
There's-
bow.
Oh my
Alright, all
God.
three of
Jumper.
us- We send Jumper in first.
Yo,
Yeah.
Jumper. Jumper,
Wonder
earlier,
distraction.
listen, Jumper, we're sorry, okay? Listen, okay, there was so many people up there, and
Spawn
You
the
know?
dragon.
Okay, just.
You know what, dude? Jumper will always put her own life before teams. She won't betray.
Oh, of course.
Yes.
Ah, this isn't the video time.
Hey, Puff.
Hello.
You're very quiet.
Who is that? No way.
Okay, let's just
No
go.
way.
Wait, what?
Oh my
Alright.
gosh.
Let's just go. Let's just go. Use your
Andres.
kill
Where
move.
are they going?
Wait,
I have no idea.
my God.
where they're going.
Watch out,
You
guys.
guys,
where are they going?
W juke, W
W
juke,
juke,
W
W
juke.
Just swap sides.
they're all.
Oh my God.
Oh no.
Oh my
Wait.
God.
Yo, watch out!
Simon!
Oh, whoa! Hey, I can't kill anybody.
Oh,
I'm
they're
not
in the
gonna kill
water.
anybody.
oh,
They're in the water, bro.
Oh.
Bit Squid, if you hurt me, I will cry.
I'm not planning on hurting anyone at the moment.
Team. Yo, we're chilling, right? We're chilling.
Are you swapping sides?
What? Chill, right? Chill.
I don't know about this, Andres. You tried to kill me earlier.
No, look, I'm chill.
Dude, I don't even.
Forsy, you could have joined us. You could have joined us earlier.
I don't know about this.
Forsy, you got this, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Would he run? Don't fight.
Forsy's having a good time.
Wait.
Alright.
Is the source up there? Can we block it up? Or is it glitched?
I think
we just gotta go in.
Yeah, you gotta go
Yeah,
in. You gotta go
I
in.
mean, we could totally trap. Oh my god.
That was scary.
We had such a nice.
They're at the bottom.
What am I saying?
Does anybody have a good axe I
Hold
can
on.
use? Or a sword or...
Hold on.
I have a stone axe. There you go.
Oh no, you tried it.
I tried it.
Oh, watch out. This guy's by himself now.
They're
Wait, never
coming
mind.
up. They're coming up. I think we should.
Yo, are you low?
I'm good.
Okay. Alright, watch out.
Dude, don't push me off!
Wait, W juke.
What happened?
He's gotta be low. He's gotta be low. We just push him. We push him. Full push.
This is
What full push? I heard.
Where'd he go?
Nah.
Oh, that is the wrong person.
All right, jumper's going down.
Wait, get the singles. Get the singles.
Yeah, single him out now.
No.
Help! Help me!
Jumper.
Nah.
I think Forsy's dead.
Okay.
No, he's fine. Who's against who?
Mid up on top.
Okay.
Okay.
Get height.
Oh no.
Can we get rid of the water, bro?
I don't know. Hold on. Jin, come up.
Okay. Alright. Jumper?
What are you guys doing? What?
Jumper's low.
Jumper, jump here, bro. I don't know how to get up.
Oh! That's the wrong person.
Block of safety. They're below. Down there.
Jaden?
Yo, careful.
Are
Come
you
here,
against
come
me?
here.
Let's go! Thank you for the blocks.
Jumper. Where's Minute? Okay, he's still alive.
I don't
too.
know.
This sucks. This sucks.
Yo, Minute.
Yo,
Where you at?
what the word?
Okay, let's just.
Where you at, bro? Oh, you're here. Yeah, I killed someone.
Nice. Wait, do you see those two guys down there that are like by themselves?
Let's do it, dude. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Vibing. Where did Minute go? Oh, I see him.
You here? Okay.
Hey guys.
Hi.
Hi.
I think a dragon would be great. Oh,
They're right there. I'm
Hello,
gonna drop
Minute.
on that block.
Bit Squid, no!
No, Minute, no! No way, Minute died.
Thank God. Okay. Hey, dude.
No armor. How am I supposed to do
Guys,
this?
help.
Where are you? Oh, running.
Oh, I got Minute. Andres is on me right now, though. He is
Andres
very angry.
Going for you.
Who is this?
Huh? It's me. Crap.
Help.
Huh?
Where?
Oh shit! It's
Where? Where?
I'm dead.
Over there.
Where?
Fighting.
Oh my god.
This is just...
Where? Oh my god.
Who Who's left? How am I still
Where?
alive?
Where are they?
Down. It's fine, James. Fine, James. Fine, James.
Is there still like an alliance, or is everyone all for everybody?
Everyone's alliance. Everyone's alliance. We just want to kill Andreas.
Andre. And then we can fight each other.
Craziest water fight ever.
I hate this.
Get him, Jaden, please.
You're going after Giraffe Shield. Get him, skeleton.
Oh my god. Does anybody have food?
I mean, he's here.
He's here is crazy.
Yo, the teaming is crazy.
Yeah.
Hello, Andres.
Happily, I am very good on food right now, so I can probably take a 4v5. 4v1, my bad. It's very scary right now.
Everyone just going after Andres.
Yo, the teaming is crazy.
Earlier. First, I gotta kill him.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, I'm dead.
We're even I'm drowning.
No way I got rid. Oh my god.
I don't know. Oh, fuck.
Andre.
Oh,
Creeper. Where?
Guys, I might need help.
Is he still down there?
Oh my god.
Wait, where'd he go? How much? Removing the water stream?
What?
Alright. That's actually not bad. Just, I hope it's not instant.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
But that's not gonna work in this situation.
Oh, are they fighting?
Yeah, they're fighting still.
Okay.
Where'd he go?
Who's drowning?
Trying to get
Oh,
out.
that water stream.
I was the one.
I gotta find somewhere I can build. They still want me. Yep. Wait, I just win this, right? Just doing this. Oh my god, I'm one heart. Wait, should I just win this like this? Wait. Well, the walls are coming in faster. I want 1 heart, bruh. I need like anything. I just need to place blocks somehow, but that's not possible. Dude, I really can't do anything. What are they dropping? The squid's dropping. Okay. Yo. I did something crazy here. Oh, I'm not sure if it's gonna work, but I'll have to try it. Please, please catch the water. Nice. No way.
You're not just gonna sit up there.
No! No! Damn it. Well, I died. No! Yo, that's crazy. Nah. Yo, I played that off so good, though. I ain't gonna lie. Dude, they were teaming, dude. Nah, that's crazy. You're so bad. Booster, shut up. Shut it. Dude, you cannot beat a 20v1, bro. You cannot beat a 20v1. I did it. I did very well. Did very well. It's fine. It's fine. Mr. Minitech. Yo, chat. Next round? Next round? No one's surviving. Nobody's surviving next round. Of course, even died. We're not teaming with a single person. We're killing everyone on site. It's all good. Chat. Oh my, this is actually really fun and really sweaty. Wait, who's still alive? That's I just burped. My bad. I'm sorry. Forgive me. What's a good song to play? What's a good song to play? Actually, we won't listen to songs. Also, yo, Synoptic, thanks for the tier 1 sub. I'm sorry that I didn't say thank you earlier. I was like immensely like PvPing right there. Wait, it's Jaden versus Jumper. Jaden wins this, right? It's just whoever has more food. I have no food. My plan was to like, oh, I could have like maybe got onto one of those sponges, but I don't even know where they were at, to be honest with you. Booster says, I would have won that. No, you would not, bruh. Well, you would not have. No, there's just no way. Bro, how did Minute die? I can unmute, I think, on the lobby. Oh, no. Which is that? Boosters, no boost for, be honest. Nah, he would not have won that. Oh my god. Yeah, this is actually a crazy. I love this. This is a cool event with a lot of GG. Jaden man wins. Yo, I told y'all. Barn.
Nah, the 2v10 is crazy.
It's crazy.
The 2v10 is crazy.
Just know it's on site. No, just know it's on site. Just know it's on site.
Hey guys. Hey guys.
You guys betrayed me.
That was worth it completely.
Hey guys.
I had nothing and you killed me.
Then he didn't I'm gonna say hey guys to everyone on Death. Hey guys. Hey guys. Okay. Hi. Hello. Okay, so do we want to do a round 2? Yes or no?
Yes.
Revenge now.
It feels like everyone has said yes. I feel like everyone has said yes.
I had like the worst round ever.
Team with 2s only.
Zam,
I got one.
if
tap.
you
I got
get rid of the
one
water, if you get rid of the water earlier, it'll be a lot more bearable. Like for the
Yeah, I
end game.
think if we get rid of the water like as soon as possible, then yeah. Okay, cool. We'll do that again. This time we'll get the water done faster. Try to make the round end faster and all that. And yeah.
All right.
Wait,
I
where's
gotta
the
set
lava?
a new
20
world,
gigabytes of storage.
but
Holy
yeah. Dude, the lava is
there's
comes.
no
I don't know
lava.
where the lava is. I'm sorry to say, but I just there's no lava.
Wait.
I'm afraid no lava rose.
Wait, so I got you baited.
Yikes.
Yeah, I wouldn't have died if I knew it was void and not lava. You see.
Okay, wait. Panky has brought up a good point. We have something to do in a bit. Uh-oh. I can
Well,
start the
make
round
it-
and then leave midway through. That could work.
Okay.
You could do that.
If you don't mind,
It's okay, Zam.
sure.
From what I've heard, I don't know if you'll last long, anyways.
That's a good point. Yeah, no, I don't think I'm gonna last very long.
Okay.
this round. No, everyone wants to kill me. I don't know why. Guys, let's not do
Are we
that,
doing a
guys,
second
please.
round?
That'd be really cool. Yeah, we're
I feel
gonna do a
like-
second round.
VC
Okay,
chat
awesome.
distance should be lower. I feel like
Yeah,
it's
how
too
do I
high.
lower that? Kira, do you know how
It's
to
in-
lower it?
It's in server properties.
Okay,
or like
yeah,
voice
okay, I know how to
chat
change that.
properties,
I know how to change that.
something like that. Yeah.
Okay, how low should it be?
What is it currently?
Let's find out. Hold on, give me a second. I'm changing the seed right now, and then
Mhm.
and then I gotta restart the
That was a
world.
good map. That was a pretty good map.
Yeah, that was
That was
pretty
fun.
nice.
Great map.
That was very good.
That was
yeah.
awesome.
Yo, whose grandpa
And
is
then
that?
FTP file
Whose
access.
camera is that? Wait, what the fuck?
Get him
What's
off
happening?
the server picture, dude. Get him off of there. Huh?
No, that's Mike Ermintrout. What?
What? How do you not know him?
Wait, you have Mike?
Guys, Mike's the server. Have you guys not seen Mike as the server profile?
Holy shit! How did you not realize?
Server profile's
broad-
awesome.
Is that
Here,
like
the
a Breaking
broadcast range
Bad
is
reference or
1.
something?
Walter.
Yeah.
Don't put the fork in
Wait.
the microwave, Walter.
That's
I'm
Mike.
falling. I'm
Oh, I have
falling.
my
I'm
items.
falling.
That's
Let's
Mike.
go.
I'm falling.
Oh no.
Is the server up? Oh, it is. Okay.
Hey
I don't know how I
guys.
survived
Oh,
that.
oh,
my
Okay.
Okay.
Mine in the world. Okay.
Oh,
Hey.
no.
Of course,
Okay.
Steve.
Very far.
Hey.
You might have to
Oh
make a
my
world.
God.
This is a pretty deep.
I might have to make the world. Hold on.
Pretty
There we
good.
go.
I'm stuck in it. I'm stuck in diorite. Help.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Yo, Kira,
Wait,
what
I
do I
just-
do? Look in general.
Let me see
What do I-
this shit.
Check this in general.
Help.
That is the wrong
should I make?
thing.
It's the wrong thing. Oh,
Yeah, I think.
I
Okay.
see.
And I think there's okay, so there's a server properties file in the server thing, and then there's a voice chat properties file. It should be if
Yeah.
you find the voice chat properties file, you should
Yeah, I'm in there.
do you see I think it's max distance or something?
Chat, who should I kill first? Give me IGNs and I'll write them down. Who should be the first person I kill when I see them? Obviously, it's like 20 minutes before the PvP turns on, but who should be the first person that I should kill? I will kill anyone, chat. I don't care who it is. I am killing on sight. You got me mad, chat. I'm mad now. I'm a mad person. I'm a madman.
Wait, I figured it out. There we go. Restart now. There we go. Boom, I got it.
Smart. Hypers.
I got
Awesome.
this. Don't even worry.
Okay.
I want to go to bed soon.
I'm worried. I'm very
Professional?
worried, Sam.
No, don't even worry. Like, don't even
I'm-
worry.
no,
like,
I'm
at
worrying,
all.
I'm
Like,
worrying.
not even one bit. Like, not even a
anxious now.
single bit. Like, not even one bit. Like, don't even worry.
My
Like,
heart is
not
200
even a
It's
BPM.
too late. It's too late. It's too late. I'm too worried. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god.
No. Goodness gracious.
Yippee.
Hooray.
Hypers.
Yeah.
That was fun though. That was like super intense.
That was really fun.
Yeah,
That was
that
awesome.
was.
Yeah,
That was
especially when it's
awesome
like
until I got one
2v10
tap.
like Minotac and Andreas. That was like
Yeah,
nice.
that-
Dude, that
so
was
much
called
stuff.
for. You guys betrayed, okay?
Nah.
Wait,
That was
Jumper,
called for.
how low did
Yo,
you
if I
get
didn't
there?
miss my block clutch, it wouldn't have to be.
Oh, I
like
did twice.
I think the lowest I got throughout the whole thing, besides when I died, was like 3 hearts.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Well,
I
now
just
you'll
got
be-
running though. That was pretty impressive.
Andres, when you and Minute knocked me off, I lived on like half a heart.
Oh my. Wait, how did you die, bruh?
Bro, I took so much fall damage, bro.
Oh my. NPC.
Where am I?
Oh,
heck?
oh,
damn.
Meepos able to take that.
NPCs are awesome.
Uh-oh,
Don't diss them.
guys. Yo, get in the border. Get in the border. Get in the border. Get in the border. Go,
wait,
go,
so
go.
is
It's the
that-
same world. It's the exact same world.
Wait,
Oh,
just
wait.
move.
Oh,
it?
it is.
Yeah.
That's gonna be so much
I
fun.
forgot to press save. Okay, all right.
Just
whatever,
chill.
it's fine.
No, just
Yeah,
change the
No, no, we
border.
can keep it. We can keep it the same world. We can keep it the same world. There's no problem with
I
that.
don't know. I don't know.
Game mode spectator, or just
I
find a new
don't know
border
about
and just
that.
set the center there.
knows where everything is.
Yeah.
I don't think it works like that. Like with the plugin. I don't know. I'm not sure. I
Oh,
haven't
the
tested
plugin
that,
will,
so I
yeah,
don't
the
wanna,
plugin
like-
will mess it up.
Yeah, I don't want it to mess it up. So, we're just gonna go with the same world. It's not that big a deal. Okay.
Yeah, just chill.
Okay, everyone join up. I will set up all the stuff.
Pulling up
and
the
yeah.
seed, finding all the diamonds.
Let's go.
Do not, y'all don't do that. Y'all don't do that. Yo, no one do that. No one do that. Yo, no one do that.
I remember exactly where I
Literally
went.
nobody do that.
Get
Yo,
inside,
nobody
man.
does that. No one do that.
Woogie, go and get resources. Get a good spot. Go to the kid. Go, run.
Void.
Can I go my exact
Boogie,
same
you got
route?
this.
Over there,
Boogie,
Woogie.
you know exactly where to go.
Run, Woogie.
Boogie, you know
Yeah.
exactly where to go. Boogie, you know exactly where to go.
Not this
Go,
bit.
Woogie. Run, Woogie. Go.
He's going.
Woogie,
He's
run.
going.
Oh my
Run.
god.
Escape.
Boogie, Radoons, Pangy, are we still
What?
in the same team again?
Oh,
Are
yeah,
we
because
doing,
the
are we doing
polar
team
bear, I
slag?
get it.
Team
I
slag.
get it.
Yeah.
Look, you losers trapped.
Just know it's on
Here's
site,
can
everyone.
you TP me to Boogie for just educational purposes?
Nah.
Can you TP Pengy to Boogie, please?
Hey,
It'd be
Woozie.
very funny.
Nope.
What
Really
the
cool.
fuck?
Okay. Okay, everything's set up. Is everyone online? That should be
Oh, yeah.
online.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Okay, well it says 24 people and we have an uneven amount of people. Guys,
Oh.
who's not in right now? Who's not in the new world?
The choof.
Delilah died.
Yeah, that was online.
Because Delilah died.
She definitely. She might be gone.
Please log on.
Okay, how does it
to
feel being outside the border?
server.
Better than being inside the border.
Oh, he
That's a
deafened.
good point.
Damn.
Yippee.
He's literally in a cage. No, he's literally a zoo animal. He's a zoo animal. He's a zoo animal.
The cage, bro.
You're a zoo animal. You're a zoo
No,
animal.
almost.
You like that,
I was
huh?
deafened
Don't
the
you,
whole time.
Drab?
Damn. Now I hear people.
What? What? What the fuck?
Actual
We're not bringing that
AI
topic
Why?
up here. Yeah, no.
Yo,
what the hell?
why the fuck do I get
on-stream joke
violated
thing, okay?
everywhere, bro? What the fuck?
Calm down, man.
Sorry,
You're
I
the
can.
one who was like trying to peg a frog during one of your.
What?
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 Shut
Yo,
up.
This is why we
Wow.
don't. We don't talk about Darabchu. This is why you don't
Dude,
talk to Darabchu or about
I'm gonna
Darabchu.
take a sip of my juice, dog.
In a very
Yo,
public
why-
space. I can't believe this,
Dog,
guys.
why am I getting violated wherever I go, bro? Like,
Get out of here.
calm
we
the
don't.
fuck down.
I'm sorry. It's just like
I think you did that yourself.
your actions have.
Why?
You did this to yourself. That's true.
Yeah,
I don't know why
you
you
I
did
did
do
not
this.
do anything.
No,
I
you
did
did.
not do anything.
Everything we've brought up, you've done yourself.
Yeah.
No, I did not.
That's a good
All I
point.
said was Woogie is like a fucking pet animal, and that's all I said. Like he's a.
Then why is he here?
And Pangy made the connection.
Put down the shovel, bro. Put down the shovel.
Sam, can you do a
Gracious.
heal thing? People are losing
Yeah.
saturation. Awesome. Woo.
Pissed. I get
Okay, wait,
violated.
that's not joining. Okay, we're gonna start as soon as the saturation goes away. I think it's gone.
It's
Okay,
already
whatever.
gone, yeah, it's already
Rising,
gone.
start, 3, 2, 1, go.
Let's go.
Wait, 9 minutes. Wait, 9 minutes. Oh my god.
Wait, 9 minutes. Okay, whatever. Just you remember your routes.
Yeah. Trust me, dude. I'm so mad, bro. I'm literally.
Oh, no, we need
fuming.
revenge.
You're
Oh,
We're going the same way.
The 2v10? They think 2v10 us to get away
I'm like
with it?
That's
parkouring this shit
crazy.
right now. What the fuck?
He'll, and also, Darapchu is dead first.
What the?
Oh, yeah, he's gotta go. He's gotta go
Him
first.
and-
Him and Jaden are the biggest ops.
Oh, yep. Oh, especially Jaden. Jaden knows where everything's at, by the way. He knows where the Diamond's Axe is at.
Yeah, I think he's gonna follow, though. I don't think he'll get the city again.
What if we just spawn the Warden?
What the fuck? Alright, I'm gonna go find Iron.
Alright, go for it. We'll meet up somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah.
Don't die.
Alright.
Pro took the count table. It's crazy. Alright, we betray Minitech here. Yo. Okay. It's on site. It's on site. Get away. Oh, I forgot I was muted. There you go. Okay, wood. Coal early here. Get coal. Get coal. I can mine straight down. I don't care. Get 4. Maybe 5. 5 is good enough. All right, chat. The plan is it's pretty simple. We gotta find a mine shaft. We find a mine shaft. We're literally chill. We're mad chill. Yep. Get mine shaft. Get iron for blocks or for iron and gear, and kill. That's the plan. We're just gonna kill. We honestly, this void stuff. It ain't it. We're killing. We're killing on site. We're killing everyone we see. Hopefully I don't die though. Okay, I have not found a single cave while digging straight down. This is not looking too hot right now. Yeah, string for bows and rods. Yep. What's my C counter at? See? Okay, well, there's something over here, I think. Something down, I guess. Whatever, gotta keep mining down though for blocks. There's hope to find a cave soon. So hopefully we can find one. Soon. Now. Wait, how do I... Wait, how do I... There we go. Is there anyone here? Anyone? Hello? Hello? Is that Meditech over there? I don't know who that is. Cave over here. Okay, come on, make it a little quicker. Please don't break my pickaxe. Please don't break my pickaxe. Please don't break my pickaxe. Oh my god. Okay. Okay. Cave right here. I'm literally sweating right now. Just. Who's down there over there? Yo! Yo, who is that over there? Okay, or not. Actual donut walled. Bro, where is this cave at, bruh? Right here. 3, 2, 1. Okay, well, there's literally nothing here. Iron? Never mind, there's a lot of things here. Yep, please just give me... Oh my god, okay. Here's a thing. Maybe below us? Is it below me? Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. This is big. This is really big. This is huge. Oh my god. Wait, only 2? No way. Doesn't it? Usually mine shafts go out, right? Wait, there's no way this is it. Wait, no way. Wait, I hear something. Come on, please. Yeah, mining taking forever to mine this freaking block. Mine a little faster. Thank you. Oh my god, yes. Cave. These are big. It's not big at all. Oh my god, this cave sucks. I guess I can start smelting. Or something now. Maybe like 4 more. Oh my yes. Big huge vein of iron, huge vein of iron. Alright, make another crown, another furnace. Okay. Got 12 iron total. That's like a bucket or something. Okay. More iron, please. More iron, please. More iron. It's a dead end. Damn it. Oh, iron right here. Perfect. Only one. That's not good. More iron right here. Please give me like enough iron so I can be full iron. I'm not sure how many that is. Please be enough. There's like, this is really awkward. There's no music playing and I'm just talking to myself. Okay. Okay, we have 10 iron. That's all we have to our name right now. I think there's 10 minutes of grace period, and then there's the rest of just... Thank you, Def. Appreciate it. Oh, is that here? Is this me? Can't tell if this is me. Alright, let's make a shield. Leggings. And chest plate. And then just save for a pickaxe, I guess, and everything else. God, I'm panicking, bruh. Yes. Who is down here? Who's coming down here? Uh-oh. Oh no. Yo. That's crazy. Someone's down here, but they don't want to speak. Please speak to me. Who is it? Who's down here? Oh my god. Who goes there? Thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. I hear a skeleton. What? Wait, it goes more over here. No way. Okay. Wait, oh, bruh. I was just here. But someone lined up. Ah. Okay, well, I see more of the cave. It goes over there. Okay. Wait, how close am I to board? Okay, I'm really close. I just beat up a minute. Oh no. All right, I'm going up. PvP is now enabled. Okay, well, PvP is on. Okay. Byron? Who goes there? Oh my god. It ain't gonna be smart. It ain't gonna be smart. please. Fine. Yo, how high is this damn thing? Minute. Minute. Wait, where's Minute at? I think it's over here. I think it was over here. Oh my god, okay. Yo, this is very intense. My voice is getting deeper because it's...
Hello. Have you seen Bid Otter?
I have not. PvP's on, but I'm not gonna kill you. We didn't meet up with each other. Go, get out of here, get out of here, get out of here.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You too. Yo, Minute? Yo! Yo, Minute! Yo, minute. Do you have any iron? Minute. Hello? Yeah, hello? Minute.
YOLO.
Dude, dude, my cave sucked, bruh.
Yeah, I didn't get string, but I got enough for a few arrows.
That's what I got.
Oh, that's
yeah,
huge.
Yeah, it is huge. Wait, what if we fish up there right now? We start fishing. Get a bow.
Oh,
power
you
4.
get, like, gear?
Yo, power 4 bow would be great.
Yo, wait,
yeah. Wait. You see this person right here?
They're looking like some free kills. I'm not.
They're
gonna
looking
lie
like
to
free
you.
kills. I'm not gonna lie to you. Too. Wait, it's the same thing. I'm quick my iron there too.
Okay, bet.
Wait, if they start. Yeah. How much iron do you have, by the way? I need one more for
that's
boots.
in the furnace.
I'm gonna take one for boots.
I mean, these guys.
Oh.
I mean, that guy down there's got boots.
Oh, I made boots.
Oh, okay. Honestly, let's just start. No, we have to go closer to the thing.
Yeah.
There we go. You guys want to go away?
Yeah, you want to go? Wait.
I'm leaving.
Yep. Y'all want to go away? Or y'all want to go away? Y'all want to go away? Y'all want to go?
Leave us alone, or you guys want to?
She's cool with it. She's cool. You know.
All right, thank you. All right, let's go.
Yo!
Alright, I'm building up over here.
Fiend. We have no water bucket this time. Wait.
Oh, I brought a lava bucket. I'm trolling.
Oh no. Dude. Yo. It's crazy.
Andres, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah. What?
Fill this with water. Fill this with water.
Throw it. Okay. Just know that it's on site. Anyone that comes near me, it's on site. If you try to kill me, it's on site. All right? You hurt? Wait, no, a minute. I forgot you probably should have got me there. Oh, damn it. Hello again. Bye again.
Hi.
I'm sorry that my teammate stole your iron. Please forgive my teammate.
Just for you.
Okay. Forsy, I don't even want to see you. You come near me, Forsy, I will kill you on sight. I know you can hear me. You are dead to me. Listen, come here closer. Come a little close. Wait, Forsy, come here. Oh, damn, there's a creeper right there. Wait, how am I? Yo, Minute, Minute, you good, bro? Wait. Oh, shit, whatever. We gotta go. Yo, my teammate is a fiend. am I meant to go up to Minitech? Minute, I think kill. Okay. Shit. I have no gravel. I got nothing. I have andesite, whatever. I can probably get it there. Hopefully you can. Okay. Well, we're the first ones up already. Come on. I'm gonna keep all the bones. Hopefully Minitech has some saplings. Minute, can you hear me? Minute. Can you hear me? 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 Hello?
I can hear you.
Do you have any saplings?
No, I didn't grab any.
I have bones. We can do some with bones.
Okay. Oh, we're gonna have to. Okay, let's do like a secondary layer right here, and then we can like build up to spill them in after this.
True.
Yeah, this is chill. Okay. Here, wait. Do you want to hand me the water bucket so I can let it down when I get up?
Yep. I have like no blocks, by the way.
Okay.
I still got that fishing rod.
Let's go.
Yo, I'm gonna go crazy with these plays. 15 steak. Damn. Okay. Just put the water down so I can hopefully just get up there with them. Hopefully we get some kills early here. Get me some full iron. Thanks for the follow, by the way. IRAD and AASEG 2025. Appreciate the follows. And Jess Low. Hello. Alright, so then the water down. Let's get it. Fiend. It's coming. Alright. Pour it down on me. These Minitech. Okay.
Burn.
Burn.
Alright, bet. Alright, and I'm gonna build us a 0-0.
Alright. I think I'm just gonna use the fishing rod to reel people off.
Yeah.
Instead of using it for fishing. Oh, they are. Oh no! Look what they're doing over there.
Team. I think it's the same super team.
All right. Well, that super team's gonna die soon. Hey, super team,
yep.
Hang on.
All right, this is 0-0 right here.
All right. Well, we have 0-0 conquered now. That's chill.
What are they? They have bows. Watch out. Okay.
And I'm zoom.
This is interesting.
Very interesting. All right. Well.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't really have any blocks. I have bones, like I said, but that's about it.
Yeah. Damn. Oh, I see Jumper, bro. No way. No way he got the. No way the same guy got the same armor, dude. No way he found the diamond, bro.
He literally got the same thing, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna turn my oak planks into slabs.
How did the Radoons get eliminated again?
Bro. Loki?
I mean, yeah, you could. I'll let you know if you're getting shot at or anything.
I bet.
I don't think they have arrows. Oh, wait. Watch out to your, there. I don't know who that's.
Wait. I have an idea.
Right there. But yeah, honestly, if we can split up that big super team before they can meet, that's huge.
Puffball Cloud is over on the other side. Bro. Actually, wait. Maybe I should, like,
Oi!
Bro, if he does that again, I can snipe him.
All right. They're trying to snipe me. Yo, that's crazy.
Yo. Did they actually shoot an arrow?
No, but they're like, oh, he has a fishing rod. Little. As one guy once said. I want to kill so bad right now. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think we have to split the super team before they meet.
They have arrows, by the way. They have arrows. They have arrows.
Oh, they do. Damn.
Yep, they have arrows. We saw your arrow,
Nope.
by the way. Yeah, you're dead.
No.
Do you have any blocks left?
Yeah, I got some.
Yeah, I got unlimited. Yeah. Bro has game mode C. It's crazy.
Yeah,
Bro knows Mojang.
I might.
Yo.
Yellow.
Yeah.
Bro. Okay. You got it.
No.
Nah.
Give it like 5 minutes.
Nah.
Come on. Hey.
Watch out. She's glocking her bow. She's glocking her bow. She's glocking her bow. She's glocking her bow.
What?
I would say put water down.
I got a bow, bro.
Just in case.
I got a bow.
Yeah, let's back up.
Back up.
Yeah, you better back up, huh? Yeah.
Nah, look at them
No.
trash talking.
That's crazy.
I'm sorry, guys. I got a bow. No.
Oh, they're placing water as well.
No, we're not. What makes you think that?
Hit me.
So, like-
Hit me.
I don't want it though. I don't want it. I don't want it.
Fiend.
Travis, fan. Look, all we gotta do.
Bro, that's Lil Uzi Vert. What you talking about, bro?
Bruh, you said fiend, bruh.
Yeah, it's Lil Uzi.
What the fuck?
They're waiting for us to jump on them, and they have a fishing rod.
You think I'm gonna jump on him?
Oh well, they're waiting. We're gonna get it. They're gonna think we're gonna get impatient, and then they're gonna fish on us.
Help!
All right, that's my shit, bro. You can't yell for help like that.
Hey, man.
All right, I got him on the reel.
Go down.
Nice.
Oh well, GG's guys. We can live
right,
happily
I'm gonna
ever after. Thoughts?
All right, bet.
Uh-oh, minute. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh, Pentar.
Uh-oh.
I have to what? Let me up. Put water down. Put water down. Minute. Put water down. Put water down. Minute. Over here. Like
You see
ASAP.
You see it? You see it?
Yeah. Oh, that's good. No, you gotta. It's not
Coming
good.
back. Hey, put the water down. I'm coming back for more.
Hold on. Yeah. Put it over here. No.
I got you. It's coming.
All right, bet. And all right, and that's enough. You're good. Pick it up.
I bet.
And it started
We
raining.
just stole their turf. Let's go.
Nice.
Nah, Pentar, what do you think you're doing down there?
I'm coming back for more. You took my house. Uh-oh. Your floor's gone.
Uh-oh,
Okay,
I fell.
can't- Yeah, I have efficiency 1 million. What would you do?
Okay, I think he's gone.
Fishing rod me.
Okay. Give me 1 sec though. I gotta reel you in. Yo.
I got
Oh
fishing
my
rods.
god! Wait, you see them over there?
I don't know where you're talking. What's over there?
Down there. See drop shoe?
Oh yeah, I see that. But I don't think my fishing rod stops. Yeah.
Oh, dude, what is this team forming below us, bro? What is this?
Be careful. They're very mean people. You might want to punch them off now.
Dude, no way they're forming the same team of 10.
Dude. Surely one of them joins us, right? Oh, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Hey. Nah. Hey, are you with the guys below us?
Yeah, that's yeah. I don't know about all that now. I don't know about all that.
Yeah, I don't know about these lies I'm hearing. It's literally the whole server. Oh my.
Dude, it's the whole server versus us again. Oh my god. Minnie, you have any blocks?
There's so many people down there. What the?
Oh my god, dude.
What happened?
Dude, 1 TNT behind cart would be crazy.
Oh my god. Yo, the parkour here is crazy.
Yeah. To be honest, I don't have crazy blocks left.
Frick. Damn it. Well, they got to come up eventually, right?
Yeah, I think so. Dude.
Can I fishing rod one right here? No, we gotta go lower.
What?
That didn't really help. Yo, this rain is crazy.
Dude, that's crazy, bro.
Imagine one minecart. One minecart. All of them are
I'm
dead.
so sad.
Hmm.
Here, take this, by the way. I know you have some. We can take more.
What did you give me?
Arrows.
Oh, thank you. See that?
Yo.
Pentor!
He's not a nice guy, by the way. He tried killing you like earlier, like yesterday. He's with us. He's with us. Bro, you're with. Okay, so you're acting sus now. All right. I don't. Yeah, there's
right
literally.
below you, Andres.
I know.
Okay.
I'm coming up.
Nah, this is like a 2v30, bro. What is this, bro? Oh my god.
Just try taking away from me.
Watch out, Thaisa. You have another one?
Yo.
Yes. Pentor, do you have iron? No.
Oh, shit.
Oh, that's one. Okay, I need one more.
I'm down to fight them. Who wants to fight?
Huh?
Oh, someone's coming up. Who's
Like,
that?
I got another 15 DV2?
Watch out, Pentor, watch
Alright,
out.
I'm just going up here.
Watch out.
Fine,
They
we're
have fishing
fine,
rods
we're
and
My
bows. They have
freaking fishing rod broke, bruh.
Fishing rods do nothing.
I didn't know. Wait, fishing rods have durability? I thought they were like good.
Nah, it's 1.8, bro. Dude, there's 0% chance this is happening right now.
Bro, I'm gonna freaking flip right now too. Bro, can y'all betray each other, please?
Fight each other, please!
Like, come on, bruh. Can you-
I'll let you go fight them. I won't be in your way.
No, that's just cap.
What?
That's go under me.
No.
Oh wait, you guys can fishing rod me right now.
I don't know.
No, I'm fishing rod broke, bro. All right, I know what y'all on about.
I don't know about this, honey. Okay, I don't know about this. I don't know about this.
Yeah, kind of everyone came up.
Yeah, I don't know.
Wait a minute, over here. Look to my right.
Hey guys.
That's a
Oh,
lot.
what are you doing here?
To me.
Watch out, watch out.
Are you,
Pentar, what are you doing right now?
What do you think I'm doing?
I
I'm making
Bro.
the game move
Oh!
faster.
Oh, he
No
water
one buys
glitched.
off that.
No, water glitched.
Dang.
Yo, no way there's a team again.
Okay, that's a lot of people.
No way this is here right now!
Oh. Oh.
No way this is...
Oh.
What is this?
Oh.
Oh,
Wait.
what is this? Bro, why is there so many people? Pentar. Watch out, watch out.
I put water down. I got water down.
I was like, killing them.
Oh my god, a minute.
I just.
Good luck.
Minute.
I just see people falling down.
Lovely place.
Team. My teammate died.
Yeah,
I can do much. Yeah, yes.
I'll go up.
This is our talk show.
That's on you. Yo, that's crazy.
Hi.
We're gonna bring it somewhere else. Let's go. This is our
Oh shoot, there's fighting.
first save.
Hey,
I'm close.
you're a fellow Showtime
Oh,
member.
hi,
We can
how you
relate.
doing?
Come on.
Wait,
You're a fellow Showtime member. We can
It
relate.
ends here. It ends here.
Bro. Yo, the targeting is crazy. I gotta get some kills. I'm just going for anyone to see.
Slow down so I can hit you. Nope. Hey.
Hey guys.
I'm not gonna hit you. Just chill.
I just got hit by so there's someone to target.
Sponge? Oh, is she actually? Oh, fuck, what the fuck?
We are in trouble.
Oh, shit.
Fuck. Hey, are we chill?
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm just. Oh. Well,
So many of you.
That's funny.
I just actually killed someone. Without.
I don't think that they just dropped from the skies.
Yeah, but I placed the tree here, so I technically won.
Oh, wait, that's true.
Oh, look, a sponge. Kind of go sponge the base up.
Okay, we got passage. No!
Oh!
Get in the water, get in the water, get in the water, get in the water. It's always fighting.
Oh, fuck you.
I am so sorry, but it's got to be done.
No.
Grab you. You want to be chill? I don't want to fight. I don't want to fight. Okay. Water here. I'd advise coming up.
I'm not falling again.
So listen, I can tell you.
No! Leave me!
Oh, the Midtech still alive? No minute. Have you guys seen Minitech? He's lost.
I don't know where the hell he is. He's probably like. Is that him all the way down there? No, that's not him. Where is Minitech? I don't know.
Yo.
Brian? Brian?
Punched you off, and I was like, you had that.
Oh, I see it.
I stopped myself.
You don't see anything.
How's this round going for you, Andres? Huh? How's this round going?
God.
Oh, okay. No. You can let go. You can let go.
Oh, let go.
Okay, all right.
All right, they have a fishing rod too. That's crazy. Where's Ben at? Yo, minute. Yo, minute. Wait.
That's Andres. He's coming after us.
Oh shit!
We can go. No!
Bye. It's on site. I told you it's... Wait, no one's dying. Wait, that guy just died, but he didn't die, right? Huh? Wait, I'm so confused. Is no one dying now? Uh-oh. Wait. Huh? Wait, someone got to put water down. We're just dead here. There's like no blocks to survive. Yo, like low key, we got a team because literally we can't do anything about this. Yeah, I mean, like that's like honest, like. Oh wait, water's dripping down.
Minute's alive too.
Wait, I gotta put something crazy.
Yo,
Minitech! Catch that water, get the block. Catch that water, get the block. Wait, catch the water, get the block.
Hello?
Yo.
Yo, the water's not coming down.
Look.
To the other side.
Okay, well I got water here now. I got blocks.
Yo.
Minute, you have water?
No, I don't.
Oh no.
Okay.
Any sapling? No sapling. Damn.
I'll just build it out.
Wait, I actually there's. Okay, well here, look,
dude. I killed Jaden, man, with the fucking diamond armor.
Yo, I'm in a tree up there, and someone tried emeralding and died, and I got their Pro 3 leggings.
Jesus Christ! Yes, for food. I'm out of food.
Yeah.
Thank you. Oh, I hit Jaden, man, into the void, bro. Oh my god, it was such a crazy moment. Yo, what's this right here? Watch out.
Hey guys.
Hey.
Oh, hello.
I mean no harm. Yeah. Good luck.
Oh well, you kind of stuck.
Yeah, I know.
By the way, they have fishing rod up there. More food. We need your food. Your tax is our food.
Phantom tax.
Phantom tax. It's crazy.
How much you need? How much you need?
All of it.
Oh, like, yeah, I'm not gonna lie.
Okay. Do it. I got you.
All right, bro's pulling something funny business. Oh.
All right, thank you.
Get a minute.
Thank you. Okay, I'm chilling. I'm chilling.
All right, this guy definitely pickpocketed like 5 food.
Cart, watch out. Cart. Oh my god. That's crazy.
Good call.
Oh my, I almost didn't see that.
Wait, there's an apple down there. I kind of want to get it, low key.
Yeah, low key.
Yo, that's crazy. Oh. Do you just have water bucket? Anything? No.
I don't have a source to get a water bucket now.
Fuck. I have a lot. Yeah, I have.
Any blocks?
No, I have. Wait, they're making a water thing. Then they want to pull something funny. You want to just go up there, just try to knock some people off?
Can we go investigate?
Let's go. Let's go see what this funny water business is.
Bro, why?
Oh, that's a teammate. My bad.
Nah. Yeah. Why do they do this?
Why are they draining?
Like,
Oh, it's
how
because
does this happen?
the void's still rising, so it glitches the water each time.
Oh.
Oh. Okay, I didn't realize that.
They
Wait,
placed one there, but it's gonna do the same glitch.
Okay, okay. I see.
If you could get high enough.
Watch out.
Oh, that's the void?
And boom.
Simon, we meet again, but
blocks.
Yeah.
Andres, you're not doing this.
Wait, don't grab that.
I have 15 FPS.
Bro,
thanks.
Perfect, you're dead.
I would
Watch out, fishing rods. Oh, watch out. Oh, that's bad.
Philip above you.
Whoa! Hey!
Bye.
Oh, hey, dude. Hey.
Well, I kind of want to go kill them low key, just to limit them.
Do you have gear?
No, but.
Oh, I fell down a little bit. Whoops.
Who was that? Oh, Simon.
Yo, like the teaming is actually insane, no?
Yeah, it is a little crazy.
Are they all teaming?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bro.
Yeah, watch out the fishing rod. I have an apple. Seed. Oh, Simon's going.
I have a whole ass tree.
Uh-oh.
Oh! Whoa, they got spleefed.
Well, now we just. Was that jumper?
They're letting down water.
Oh,
We can
no.
intercept that. Let's intercept this
Wait,
water.
look. They're about to get split right now. The void's about to get them.
That's true.
Look. 3. And one more. And they're one more actually. Wait, 2 more.
2 more?
There's one person right here.
I come in peace.
Oh, do you?
Hi, DK.
I don't like killing. I also have
do you?
nothing.
Same.
All right. Well, now we just get.
Watch out.
Don't
Yep.
worry, IDK. I come in peace too. Oh, okay. What is that?
I still got my applause on me, but I'll try.
And boy took it out. Okay.
I saved it over here as well, Jumper.
Wait, look what I have over here. Wait a minute. Look what I have over here.
What's up?
It's gonna take a lot more than that to kill me.
Oh, true.
Big strats.
I'm not gonna kill.
All right.
Oh, I could have. Okay, whatever. It's all good.
Okay.
Hey guys.
Andres is right
Dude,
there.
how many is that right there?
I'm not
1,
gonna
2,
kill
3,
you. He
4,
said
5,
he's
6, 7,
tailoring
8,
towards me with a
9.
sword
There's
out.
9, 10.
This is a lot of people
Bye.
here.
Oh, Simon.
Okay, this is like.
Your ability's looking really weak, dude. Oh yeah, Andres. Don't.
Minute. Survive.
Hey, Andres.
Hello. You might not want to fight me.
Oh yeah. No.
Sorry.
Wanna see where this is going?
Okay. That's it. Time to slaughter some people.
Do it. Do it. Okay.
Oh!
Minute.
Yo.
Oh, that is Minitech. That is Minute. Yep, that's Minitech. And I am.
Good water, good water. Oh, Jumper, hello!
Oh, hey, we meet again!
I am gonna go until I die. Oh.
Something about your diamond sword looks really appetizing.
Got him.
Nice.
I got the diamond sword, Come on,
Good,
come on.
Good shit.
I give it to you. I don't like diamond sword.
Oh, what? Okay.
Come. Phantom tax. We're here for your phantom tax. We're here for. We're literally phantom taxing the water. That's crazy. Come here.
Anybody wanna... Oh, hey.
Hello.
That's funny to see you here.
Simon, yo.
This Simon guy has survived too.
Oh, revenge.
Oh, yeah. The sweet revenge, right?
Yes, sir. You rotted me earlier. You probably don't even remember it, but it happened.
Minute. Now. Nothing's happening now, but you know.
Right. Hey, I need your help. I need like blood.
Oh my god, 1 sec. Yo, Bitsquid, thanks for the raid. I appreciate you so much. We'll win for. Uh-oh. Tee-hee. Wait, rod me now. 3, 2, 1, rod me now. Wait, 3, 2, 1, rod me now. Wait, 3, 2, 1, rod me now.
No, because if you break the block, I'll do it.
What?
If you break the block, I'll rod you.
Okay. You thought.
Wow, you ate with that one, didn't you? You really thought the cogs were gonna get turned in my head and I'm gonna right click.
Yes.
Not happening.
Thank you. All right.
Whatever.
Hello. Thank you, everyone, for the raid. I'm sorry. I'm literally sweating. I want to win this 1 minute sec.
Oh shoot.
Minute. Hey, Baron. Yo, Baron.
Hey.
You want to go down to these people here? All right, bet.
Oh yeah, you see Jumper?
Yep.
Hey.
Okay. Well, Simon's on this one. I'm gonna go for this one.
Fish me up. That's way more funny. Oh, that's an issue.
Hey, Minute.
Okay.
I'm back.
Hey.
I got what's his name? Super low. Simon.
This guy's always surviving somehow.
Bro, yeah. Would you still have that sponge?
I don't have it.
All right, I'm gonna kill this Simon guy.
Okay, it's over. I'll see you guys. Yep.
I got him. All right, I killed the Simon guy. Yo, I killed the Simon guy.
W. Wait, look out behind you. What's Jumper doing? Oh, we have to build. We got a border.
Okay. What do you need anything?
I'm chilling. I think I'm just chilling, honestly. Okay, I'm at 0-0.
Oh, fuck. Do you have any bones by any chance?
I do not.
Oh, okay. That's fine. Is that a cobweb up there? Am I tripping?
Yeah, they got cobwebs somehow.
Hello.
Hey.
Oh, what? Funny seeing you here.
It's very... I look, you just want to jump on her.
As long as she's disconnected from the rest of the team, it's chill.
True. Oh, and they put water down for her. I don't know about all that. Wait, I could
they clogged the water.
What do you mean by that? Oh, I see. Oh my god!
Void again.
Okay,
Wait.
hey. Oh, Jumper got through.
Huh? Wait, I'm so confused. What's happening? Wait, who was? Yo, huh?
That was the admin.
Oh. I was like, who is? Wait, is today Canadian Thanksgiving?
It might be.
Oh, I'm Canadian. Yeah.
Oh shoot.
Yeah. No, I'm Canadian. I'm like,
all right, who do we got left? Dude, it's a 1v. It's like a 1v, or it's a 2v7 right now.
Yeah. Wait, are you serious right now? Yo, you know some.
It started as a 2v10. We're actually kind of doing good right now.
Yeah, we are. I say we just keep picking people off. If we see them, we just keep killing them. Thoughts?
Yeah, any solos.
You see this water here? Kind of want to block it off. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I don't have any source water though. I don't have any blocks, like source blocks.
Wait, what do you mean?
Like my bucket's empty. Like I don't have any water.
Oh yeah, me either. Shit.
To be honest, I don't know if anyone does.
Wait, what happened to the sponge?
I don't know where that went.
Oh. Well, we're kind of chilling here, right?
I think
so. 0-0's right on this block. My name is Minitech.
I could try to snag their source block up that's in their pool.
Low key, that would be meta.
I'm gonna see if I can do it.
What are they doing? Oh.
Are they jumping?
I don't know.
Wait.
It looks like they are. Wait.
Hey guys.
Hello.
Hey.
Can you like not kill me?
Why not?
I literally have nothing.
But like,
oh my god. Okay, well, what?
I'm gonna try to get a source block.
Bet. Run. Oh, okay. 2v6 now.
Oh shit.
Remember me?
Oh hey.
Wait, you? Oh shit, yeah.
Ah.
I got a water block now if you want to go for him.
I bet.
Oh, he's so done for. Hey.
Alright, wait.
Oh, he hit me down.
Wait,
you win this time, boys.
Alright, just let him look the ball.
Alright, let him fall. Bet. Yeah, go this way. I mean, I think a staircase is that way.
Okay.
Yeah, you see that staircase I made over there? Just cut him off there.
Yeah.
Oh, they're about to come down, I think. I'm gonna go see what's up real quick.
Alright, bet.
I think he places water down. Okay, well.
Wait, I can help you actually.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, your ass is like, you know.
Okay. Minute, can you hear me? Yo, Minute, we gotta kill Chris here.
Okay.
He's on the right side. He's low.
I'm not low, I'm
Alright, I'm cutting him off.
He's gotta be so low.
Yeah. I'm telling you, I crit him and then I sword crit him as well. Surely this tree grows, right?
Oh my god, leave me alone. Hop off, little bro. You're doing tricks on it. Hop off. Hop off.
Yo.
Yo.
Oh my god. He's going crazy with it.
Oh,
no, he might
what?
hit me.
Well,
He might
Raptor
not
died.
hit.
Yeah, we just got
All
his
right.
gear.
Well, good job, chat. All right, there's
Okay, bet.
1, 2, 3, 4. All right, there's like 6 people left. Okay. This is.
I mean, that just gave me a lot of blocks. I'm chilling now.
Dubs. Wait, what can we do here? I don't even know.
We just wait them out, I guess. I mean, because they keep running each time.
That's
We
true.
have a little roof.
So have my. Yeah. Because they're kind of forced to come down. Yep. Yo!
Oh, that's yeah, that's happening. I bet.
The void is still rising, so I'd move up a bit. This layer's next.
Wait, what?
What? Wait, what? Is it actually?
No way.
Wait, what?
0% chance, right?
No, the void already fell.
The void already rose.
Yeah, the void already rose.
Surely doesn't do another lap.
Yeah, y'all beat it. So we're doing it again, Small.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh, I see what you mean now. So the border's coming closer again.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff happening right now.
I'll be honest with you.
I got blocks to keep towering up to them.
Same. Wait.
Just can't get fishing rodded or something.
True. I found an idea. Let me know if you get fishing routed.
Okay.
Dude, this is like...
This is intense.
Careful. Alright, yep. The void is coming up again. I see it.
Oh, okay.
Oh, they're placing water down?
What they did for a second? What the hell?
Careful.
Yeah, no, they got that.
Look out. Look, we can just do this now. Uh-oh.
Come on.
Oh my god. You guys. Oh.
Oh no. I didn't place the thing. Wait, does Min have a source water? He does. Oh, does it come down for me though? Is the question. Okay. Oh no. Is it coming fast? It is. Okay. I just wait for it now. All right. Minute.
Yo, that was crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Did you almost die?
No. I was up there and then I just like, you know, clutched on the water down there.
Okay. Damn.
Watch out, watch out. Oof.
Oh, they're trying it again. They're trying to get angles.
Wait, where's the...
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Yo, why do they want us dead, bruh?
Bro, kill each other, yo.
I'm sensing some... Oh,
nah.
nope.
Wait, no, this is Loki perfect. This
Nah,
board right here is perfect.
Actually, yeah. Well, yeah. Well, actually, is this... Wait, hold on. No, we want to shrink it to 0-0. Think about it.
Let's because like, it just becomes a game of suffocation. Like that's like.
Well, they really want to place water down. Minute, please place water down. How? Huh? Yo. Is the water you pushed down? I hope so. Uh-oh. Oh, wait. I'm trolling. I'm literally trolling. Oh, I see the water he put down. Okay. I did have a roof, but I think that fishing rod made it through the roof. All right. W place for Minitech. Placing that water. Again. Saving my life again. Okay. Minute. Oh my god, no way. Minute.
Yep.
What in the world did they do?
I don't know. They just tried to jump me, but I got out.
Uh-oh.
What?
Uh-oh.
I'm coming.
Come up, come up, come up. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Wait, look at this.
Oh no, jumper.
Jumper's low. Jumper's gotta be low.
Why wait up here? We can go down and kill him.
Uh-oh. Guys, I think we just need to go. Minute seconds down. Oh shit.
No! Dude, no way. Yo. Okay, well. Chi-chi. Yo. Minitech.
That's crazy.
Yo, that's crazy.
That's crazy.
The teaming is crazy. The teaming is crazy.
Teaming is crazy.
It's all right. Well, GG's.
And then they okay, whatever.
It's just GG's. It's just GG's. Okay. Oh, chat. That was it for the events. That was actually really, really fun. I met a lot of cool people there. Chat, if you enjoyed that, I will be live tomorrow. I don't know what time tomorrow. Actually, no, I do know what time. Early in the morning, because tomorrow I am practicing. I'm practicing an event, not an event. I'm practicing with Wolfie. I'm practicing with Greninja, and I'm also practicing with my other teammate for Mayhem. So expect to see tomorrow morning or something. Appreciate you guys all watching. Make sure to hit the follow button, because if you haven't already, that's not cool. Also, thanks for the raid once again, BitSquid. I appreciate you. And join my Discord. Please join my Discord. If you don't join my Discord right now, I'm gonna be very edge right now, okay? So please join the Discord, okay? All right, cool. All right, chat. I will see y'all later. Peace out, everyone. I'm gonna raid someone, so stay for the raid. If you don't stay for the raid, you're weird. Okay, just stay for the raid, bruh. Who is streaming right now that I can raid, though? Who is streaming right now? Who can I rate? Any streamers that are live, chat, for any one of your streamers that are live? I could rate Pangy. I could rate Chris. I'll rate Pangy. All right, Pangy. All right, chat. See y'all later. I'm ready, Pangy. Thanks for watching. Peace out. Follow Pangy, please. All right, cool. Tomorrow, 11 a.m. PST. Okay, bye. Love y'all. Bye.